February 13th, 2020 Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards is called to order. We are going to start this morning off with the approval of the Rule 45 report containing the minutes of the January 14, 2020 meeting of the Committee on Zoning, Landmarks, and Building Standards. Everyone should have a copy in front of them. And if hearing no objections, do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Moved by Alderman Villegas. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing no objections, the report has been approved. All right, I got to use my gavel. Sorry. All right. Moving on, we will now hear the items to be deferred. I'll read the page number, the file number, the address, and lastly, the reason for deferral, and take a motion for all at the end. So we'll start in the middle of page 11, file number 20267T1, located at 1317 West Wrightwood Avenue per the Alderman. Backtrack to middle of page 6, file number 20312, located at 2551 North Milwaukee Avenue and 3061 West Logan Boulevard per the Alderman. Moving to the top of page 8, file number 20323, located at 421 through 51 North Michigan Avenue, 137 through 209 East Illinois Street, and 458 through 78 North Cityfront Plaza. This item has not been before the Plan Commission. All right, do I have any other deferrals? No? Okay. So, do I hear a motion to defer these items? Alderman Lopez moves to defer. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and these items are deferred. At this time, we will now begin the public comment period. Out of respect for everyone's time, each speaker is limited to 3 minutes to address all items on the agenda. And for that matter, if they would alert us to what item you are speaking for and against, it would be greatly appreciated, as this will be the only opportunity to address the items on the agenda, and the committee will not conduct separate public comment before each agenda item. All right, so witness slips, I know, bring them down, or bring them to the clerk. Let's start. Let's start with Manuel Vega. Manuel, where are you? Step up to the mic. Ask Alderman Nugent to come here, please.
Good morning, Tom Toomey and committee members. I am speaking to the property rezoning on the ordinance on number 20147, and this was referred 9/18/19. This is 5136 through 38 North Claremont Avenue. In fact, the purpose of this applicant seeks to subdivide a property into 2 lots. That is incorrect. This lot is already 2 lots, and that already creates a problem. Yes, Tom, do you need a minute? Okay. There is a restrictive covenant put to order. The multiple members of the ward's neighbors have had a chance to review that. This what we oppose as a community is that this density change, an RM 4.5 from an RS3, allows for a non-conforming build when compared to other homes on this residential interior street where all the buildings and homes are set back 15 feet or greater. There is a density problem here with this change. An RM 4.5 on lot 9, which is this lot, according to these drawings that have been submitted, the new drawings, will allow a build that traverses the lot line. It's a 25-foot lot. You want to build a 25-foot 10-inch building on it. This is why don't you just build a building that fits on an RS3? That is the community saying that. Density, this is a 25-foot lot. We are neighbors in a single-family, two-flat building with 86% of the population carrying that. We do not want to set a precedent here. The precedent is damaging for the residents of the RS3 assignation of this block, and it opens the door for every other 25 by 125-foot lot to be rezoned as an RM 4.5. We feel that that the lawyers of this project have misrepresented this as a single lot. It exists in all public records as 2 lots, and I have included a plat of survey along with 33 supporting members to ask that this does not get passed. And I know Alderman Vasquez is here today as well. I ask and request that their team goes back to the lawyers and to the owner and request a resubmission of maybe 2 separate lots and what they plan on doing with those 2 separate lots. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And who do I hand my records to?
All right, Alan Mellis, please. We have testimony from Alan also written, please. He wants to submit.
Oh, everybody has. I put it in all their packets, Alan.
With the picture?
Good morning, Alan.
Good morning, Tom.
How are you today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good.
I realize this is deferred, but since I came here in the snow and I wrote this testimony, I figured I'd present it. I am Alan Mellis, a Lincoln Park community leader for 45 years, speaking as an individual. I am opposed to the proposed rezoning of 1317 West Wrightwood from C11 FAR 1.2 to B23 FAR 3.0. The existing building represents the character of our neighborhood, and you have a photo. The proposed building, a 4-story, 4-dwelling unit building with a basement, will destroy that character. So the question is, what is the justification of an FAR increase of 2.5 times the current zoning? Let me repeat that. They're asking for 2.5 times the current zoning, other than to make more money. Will all these units be affordable housing? Will all these 4 units be disabled accessible? While the current C11 zoning may no longer be appropriate, a reasonable rezoning would be to RT4, which is the predominant residential zoning in the area. The best outcome would be for the house to be restored with an RT4 zoning classification. In closing, I hope that when this item comes up next meeting, you will remember my testimony and vote to not approve or have it changed. Thank you, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Alan. George Blakemore, Mr. George Blakemore.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Blakemore.
I object to your whole procedure. You have about 50 items listed, and you expect the citizens to come up in 3 minutes and speak on 50 items. They have a right. You're making it convenient for yourself. You don't want to hear from the citizens. This is social engineering. I'm looking around, I see all these people in here are white. I see most of these lawyers. Do you know what social engineering is? They build and create things that's an illusion, that it just happened. It's no coincidence that these are 99% of people in here are white. With this economic development, and I just try to warn my people, you're not getting any. No economic development in these black ghettos going to occur. Now, I would like to think that it's going to, but I've seen over the years, these showers are blessing. When they come to black people, they're golden showers. Now, I'm not going in the gutter. That's just what happens. These showers that come down a blessing, the black community do not receive them. and your whole process, and you smiling. You stay in here 4 hours, sometimes 3 hours, when other committees are going on. You don't have to set it up this way. You do it because you can. And you have the authority, but is it in the interest of good public policy? No. You stay here all day and night, you're getting paid. You're not volunteering your service up here this morning. You're getting paid. And you're rich. And I'm saying that you appear to be racist. That's what appears to me. So again, it's important for people like me, black people, African people, that you see. And you know Trump is not only in D.C., but he's here. The same attitude, just another party. Just another party. He's right here among you and you and you.
All right. Now, any more witness slips? Okay, that concludes the public commentary portion of the meeting. We're now moving on to the addendum, to the agenda. First up, we have a substitute mayoral application, MA 2000, document number 0202099, an amendment of municipal code titles 4, 10, 11, 4A, 14B, 14F, 14N, 14R, 14X, 15, and 17 regarding technical corrections to the Chicago Construction Code. Do I hear a motion to accept the substitute ordinance? Alderman Raboyes moves to accept the substitute ordinance. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and the substitute is in front of us. And we have Matt from the department. I see our commissioner is here too, in case we need her expertise. But I'm sure Matt will be able to answer on the ordinance and then questions. Matt, proceed.
Morning, Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, Matt Baudet, First Deputy Building Commissioner. And this ordinance before you is a substitute with technical corrections to the ordinance that was passed last year, the 700-page new building code ordinance, the first in 70 years. So with 700 pages, we do find some typos along the way and some cross-references that were missed. And then our colleagues in law and fire would point out some items to us. So really, this is just a correction to the code that's already existing. We want to get these typos and everything fixed so we could print the books at a time and get this all ready to go. So we'd ask for your favorable consideration, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Matt or the commissioner? Alderman Lopez, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning.
Morning, Alderman.
Yes, that was quite a voluminous effort, and your department is still, to be commended for it. But I do just have to ask for my own clear conscience. This is strictly typos. There's not going to be any secret aldermanic prerogative dashes put in here by anybody, right?
No, nothing dealing with aldermanic prerogative. Just to point out a couple of things, the fire department pointed out a couple of things to us that they would like. One example is they would like what we have up here is the unpainted clear metallic drop-down sprinkler items. So they pointed out a couple of things to us that were in there. Another example, the liquor commissioner, there's been a long-standing process in liquor when they have as part of the agreement to operate for theaters, bars, and that at under 100 occupancy, the liquor commissioner can require as part of the license that they have a placard in there, not to exceed 50, not to exceed 80. So that was another item that was added.
So how many non-technical typo-related items other than those two are in here?
I think that it's maybe
Just like
half a dozen.
Okay.
Again, it was pointed out to us by the law department and the fire department.
Understood. I just want to make sure, because,
Yeah.
when we think it's just technical corrections, but then you find out that there's also a few substantive, although possibly minor in relation to the overall document. Just want to make sure we're all on the same page.
Yes,
Thank you, Chairman.
Absolutely.
Other questions from committee members, non-committee members? Okay, with hearing none, let me make sure that we're going to, Alderman Lopez moves to pass on this ordinance as amended. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it. So thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
And thank you, Commissioner, for coming down. And thank you for being available yesterday on a holiday for me. All right. Moving on to large signs over 100 square feet in area, 24 feet above grade. We'll hear them all together. I will read the ward, followed by the address, and take a motion at the end. We're going to start in the 3rd Ward, 1212 South Indiana Avenue. You're aware of that one? Okay, great. Okay. In the 19th Ward, would you like to testify? No. Okay. In the 19th Ward, 10421 Southwestern Avenue. In the 27th Ward, 404 North Armour Street. Also in the 27th Ward, 6 signs located at 820 North Orleans Street. In the 32nd Ward, 1919 North Paulina. Also in the 32nd Ward, 2647 North Clybourne. In the 41st Ward, 10801 West Irving Park Road. Is that address correct? Seems, all right. In the 44th Ward, 3 signs located at 946 West Wellington Avenue, and also in the 44th Ward, 948 West Oakdale. Questions from committee members? If not, can I have a motion to pass on the orders? Alderman Beal moves to pass on the orders. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and these items will be reported out at the February 19th City Council meeting. And now we'll move on to the regular agenda. All right. All right. What are we doing here? We're on the regular? Do we? Yeah, okay. Okay. So, we do not have certain aldermans for aldermanics, so we're going to move to page 2 in the 32nd and 47th Ward, and that is document number 8509. As I said, in the 32nd and 47th Wards, ordinance referred on November 26th of 19. And this is the change. The applicants are Scott Wagasback and Matt Martin, aldermans. And the change request is to classify a segment of West Belmont right-of-way from the center line of North Ashland Avenue on the east and the center line of North Paulina Street on the west as a pedestrian street. Who would like to speak? Alderman Wagasback?
Thank you, Chairman. Well, the regulations of this section of pedestrian area are intended to preserve and enhance the character of the streets and intersections that are pretty widely recognized as some of Chicago's best examples of ped-oriented shopping districts. So our intention here is to continue to promote the transit, economic vitality, and the pedestrian safety and comfort. These areas have a high concentration of stores and restaurants, typically under the pedestrian designation, a right-of-way of 80 feet or less, continuous buildings that abut the sidewalk, et cetera. So the 1600 block of Belmont meets a lot of the criteria, and we think that the P Street designation is appropriate and would assist in the future development and improvement of this block. So I would ask for the committee's favorable consideration, and I think Alderman Martin and I have discussed this, and I think it extends a little further east into your ward, where I think you've done some of those as well. So
Yes, sir.
that's what we're looking for here today. Thank you, Chairman.
And I believe we have Alderman Martin's support. He's not here, right?
Yes, and we do it.
Great, okay. Questions from committee members? Hearing none, do I have a motion Move to pass by Alderman Haddon, moves to pass. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion Chair, the ayes have it, item is passed. Thank you, Alderman. All right, now I'm going to ask my Vice Chair to come up because we have issues in the 44th Ward, and there's, other than myself, no better person, more knowledgeable person about the 44th Ward than my Vice Chair, Alderman Raboyes. Born and raised in 44, if I'm not mistaken. We're going to do our 3 aldermanics, and then we have 1 private application.
Start with the automatics here. Bottom of page 7.
All right, we'll start with item A-8510, 44th Ward. Ordinance that was referred on December 18, 2019, document number 02019-9436. Common address 1256-1258 West Belmont. The change request is an M1-2 limited manufacturing business park district to B3-2 community shopping district. Who's coming up? Who's going to speak on this matter?
Thank
Alderman
you.
Tunney.
Thank you, colleague and Vice Chairman. This is this is Belmont first?
Belmont.
Okay.
Belmont.
So, and I think for the benefit of my colleagues, they might want to understand we're doing 3 zoning changes aldermanically from the M zoning to the surrounding zoning that's more applicable to this. And this is in order to regulate the cannabis ordinance that would be allowed in M. I know they would still have to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals, but these were odd lots that reflected, an area along Lakewood and that was more industrial over the years. So what we're doing is providing planning for the community, putting the zoning concurrent with what's around it, and effectively not allowing cannabis at these locations.
Questions? Moved by Alderman Beal. All in favor? Opposed? The meeting chair, the ayes have it. Next item is 44th Ward, number A-8511, an ordinance referred from December 18, 2019, document number 02019-9437, common address 1122-1126 West Eddy Street. Change request from an M1-2 limited manufacturing to a business park district B2-2 in the community shopping district. 44th Ward, from M1-2 to B3-2, correct. Alderman Tunney?
Thank you, Vice Chairman. This, again, is the same issue. It's an odd lot that we had M zoning in order for future planning and to make it more consistent with the surrounding zoning and to prohibit cannabis at this location. I moved in and used my aldermanic control over this for the benefit of the community.
Glad you used that word, Alderman. All right, any questions? Alderman Dow. So moved by Alderman Dow. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? The opinion of the chair is the ayes have it. We're going here, right? Another item on the 44th Ward, number A-8512, ordinance referred December 18, 2019, document number 02019-9438, common address 3235 North Lakeview Avenue, Lakewood. Change request from M1-2 limited manufacturing to a business park district to RT4 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. The chair calls on Alderman Tunney.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Raboya. Same issue. The surrounding zoning is RT4, and it's future planning to keep it residential.
Any questions? Move to pass by Alderman Lopez. All in favor? All opposed? Opinion chairs, the ayes have it. you want to go?
Okay, Wilton is on top of page 9. Sarah, we're going to do your 44th ward item.
Is he going to sit in?
They gotta testify first. They gotta testify. It's private. The attorney's gonna speak on it.
All right, so he's going to sit in, right?
No, you
Okay,
have to,
Tony.
you
All
want
right.
you to stay. And then he'll-
All right, next item, number 20308, page number 9, dash T1, in the 44th Ward, ordinance referred on January 15th, 2020, document number 02020-78, common address 3500-04 North Wilton Avenue and 934-38 West Cornelia Avenue. The applicant, 3500 Wilton LLC, owner 3500 Wilton LLC, attorney law offices of Sam Banks, Sarah Barnes. The change request is an RM5 residential multi-unit district to an RM6 residential multi-unit district.
Hi.
The chair calls on Ms. Barnes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, again, even though the chairman did such a nice job, my name is Sarah Barnes, and I'm an attorney with the law offices of Sam Banks, located at 221 North LaSalle Street. I have here with me today the managing member of 3200 Wilton LLC, Jake Elkins Ryan. Mr. Ryan owns the subject property. He acquired it over the summer back in July of 2019. The existing property is currently improved with an old 4-story multi-unit residential building which currently contains a total of 17 dwelling units. It's a pretty significant apartment building located in a very highly desirable part of the 44th Ward. It's very close to Wrigley Field as well as to the lake. So over time, it has always been fully occupied and a desired location for residents of the area. Unfortunately, over time, the building has grown outdated, both from materially speaking as well as functionally. As such, Mr. Ryan purchased the property with the intent to do an extensive rehabilitation of the existing building, which will call for a renovation of all of the interior dwelling units, as well as the establishment of 2 additional dwelling units within the building, which will provide another alternative, more affordable option for residents of the neighborhood, because rents have increased quite a bit over there due to, again, the desirable location. Unfortunately, the existing building is quite significantly non-conforming under the current zoning ordinance. It was likely downzoned over time. This building is probably over 100 years old. So as a result, in order to permit the proposal and the rehabilitation of the building, we do require the zoning change being sought here today, and that was explained by the chairman. We have met as a group with Alderman Tunney, as well as the Triangle Neighbors Association, which is the local community organization, and we do have the support of the local community group, and Alderman Tunney perhaps could put some of his considerations on the record. And we are happy to answer any questions as well.
Any questions on the matter before us? Move to pass by Alderman Lopez. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And opinion chairs, the ayes have it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
No, we'll do the
And then
deferred.
one more.
On the deferred.
Where we at? Right here? On the left.
I've got a page ready.
This one here. Next item on the agenda on the referred ordinance. Number 20116 in the 44th Ward, ordinance referred July 24, 2019, document number 02019-5598. Common address 3450-3480 North Broadway and 645-653 West Cornelia Avenue. Applicant, Broadway and Harbor LLC, owner Broadway and Harbor LLC. Attorney Shane Banks, Law Department, Law. The change request is an RM5 residential multi-unit district and B3-2 community shopping district to B3-3 community shopping district, then to a residential business planned development.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Calls on the office of Shane Banks Law.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Tyler Manick. I'm here with Bill Banks to represent the applicant, Broadway and Harbor LLC, who owns a property located at 3460 North Broadway, Chicago, Illinois. With me on behalf of the applicant is Mark Siegel and Bill Duke. The applicant seeks to amend the zoning for the property located at 3460 North Broadway from substantially a B3-2 community shopping district with a small portion being RM5 to a residential business plan development to allow for a 7-story mixed-use building. The planned development is mandatory under Section 17.8.513A due to its 208 proposed residential units. 3460 North Broadway is located on a pedestrian street. The site is a transit-served location with close proximity to a bus stop located at Lakeshore Drive in Cornelia and to the Addison Red Line stop. The site was previously utilized as a Treasure Island grocery store. The site contains 4 existing curb cuts. The applicant intends to close 3 out of the 4 existing curb cuts and to modify the southernmost curb cut to access the loading zone and parking garage because the site lacks alley access. The building's ground floor will contain 13,814 square feet of commercial space and 94 interior parking spaces. The proposed building will be substantially set back along the north, south, and west elevations at the second level where the residential use begins and provides for green space, private and common terraces, and a dog park. The east facade of the building is at the property line through the 4th floor, consistent with the property being on a pedestrian commercial street and to align with existing buildings also along the Broadway streetscape. The proposed building will then be further set back along the east elevation at the 5th floor. The roof plan provides limited amenities of a sun deck, pool, spa, party room, and pickleball court. In addition, the building will contain a variety of amenities in its interior. The proposed building incorporates extensive landscaping throughout and will include an enclosed atrium extending from the ground floor through the 7 floors of the building and be capped by a skylight at the roof level. Over the past 7 months, the applicant has been in constant contact with the Chairman Tunney's office and met with the Department of Planning and Development on 4 separate times to refine these plans. The applicant has designed the building to terminate at 75 feet. The applicant proposes to set back the rooftop amenity space and elevator overrun from the building's perimeter so as not to be visible from surrounding sidewalks. These areas only occupy 6.9% of the roof area. The applicant has further incorporated other changes into the plans as a result of the meetings with the chairman and the community, including a reduction in height, prominent use of masonry materials for the first 4 floors on Broadway and Cornelia property lines, holding the Broadway and Cornelia street corner and setting back the 5th and above floors to maintain the existing Broadway streetscape. Given the abundance of available garage parking in the vicinity and modes of public transportation available to the occupants, the applicant and the chairman agree that the parking ratio is satisfactory. The applicant further proposes drop-off area on Broadway to accommodate Uber, Lyft, and taxi drivers. The applicant has met on several occasions with the East Lakeview Chamber of Commerce, met with the 44th Ward Zoning Advisory Committee twice, and held 2 well-intended public meetings. On January 23, 2020, the applicant presented this project to the Chicago Plan Commission, which received universal approval. Accordingly, at this time, I request that the committee incorporate the record and proceedings and amended plans from the Chicago Plan Commission into these proceedings.
Need a motion to incorporate into the record, Planning Commission? So moved by Maria Hadden. All in favor?
Aye.
It's incorporated.
Thank you. At this time, we respectfully ask for this committee's favorable recommendation, and we would be happy to answer any questions regarding this project.
Any questions before this matter? Alderman Tunney?
Thank you, Vice Chairman. And as the attorney has said, a couple things. This project went through numerous reiterations, so your patience and also the assistance of the planning department was essential to get us over the finish line. As was mentioned, I think there's been dozens of meetings, some larger and some smaller with the immediate neighbors, and I think it's a good project. It did receive the support of our community, and so I ask for your recommendation. I also want to thank Alderman Kappelman. We share some of this intersection, and he's been helpful answering questions from his constituents, and also lending his support for the project. If he wants to speak on it, he can. But finally, I want to say to council that I don't call Bill Banks Bill Banks. You know, he's my chairman. So as a former chairman of zoning, I want to make sure that you leave with your highest title. So I just wanted to thank you for your and your firm's assistance on this, and really the patience that was endured trying to get this project through. So thank you, and I hope that our committee has its support for this, and because I'm wholeheartedly behind it. Thank you.
Congratulations, it's a good project. Any other questions? Alderman Kappelman?
Just want to add that it would also be a huge boost to the retail in that area. These days, it's very difficult for retail stores to continue on. We need that density, which will add more tax revenue, which will help our city. So I fully support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Motion on the floor by Alderman Riley. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Opinion of the chair is the ayes have it. Congratulations, guys. The pass as revised, of course.
Okay, now we're out of the 44th Ward for the rest of the day. Oh, thank you for your consideration, colleagues. All right, we're going to go back to page 2 in the 11th Ward. Make sure. Document number 8513, 11th Ward, ordinance referred on December 18th of 19. Common address 3300 to 3304 South Halsted Street, and the applicant is the Alderman Patrick Thompson. Change request C13 Neighborhood Commercial District to a B12 Neighborhood Shopping District.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good morning.
Morning, members of the committee. I'm here, this particular property back in 2016, we had a community meeting to change the zoning from a B12 to a C13 in order to allow for a restaurant with a roof deck. Unfortunately, that deal did not happen, and so we are changing the zoning back to what the original B12 zoning was at that site. That's consistent with what we've been doing throughout the ward, and especially on Halsted Street with the B zoning districts versus the C commercial districts. And we've seen that has been helpful with developing the types of retailers and restaurants that we're attracting in the community, and I would respectfully request your support in changing the zoning back to what it originally was as a B12.
Thank you, Alderman. Questions for Alderman Thompson? Hearing no questions, may I have a motion? Alderman Haddon moves to pass on the item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it. Item is passed. I think we're gonna go. What page are we going to? All right. So. Okay. So middle of page 3, document number 20320, 11th Ward, ordinance referred on 1/15 of 20, common address 2626 South Wallace Street, change request, RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RM 4.5 residential multi-unit district. Good morning, Mr. Pekarski. How are you today?
Very good.
Good.
John Pekarski for the petitioner. Ada Lee, who's seated to my right. We're seeking to rezone the property from RS3 to RT 4.5 for the purposes of placing one 4-dwelling unit building on the subject site. The site is 36 by 129, and of course, we need this for the floor area ratio. We have met with the alderman and his community group, and I believe the alderman is supportive.
Let's hear from Alderman Thompson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, that is true. We had a community meeting was held, and we are supportive of this. This lot at 2626 is unique. It's a larger lot, and so to allow for the additional residential is appropriate at this particular location, and the community and I fully support this.
Questions for the applicant or the alderman? Hearing none, can I get a motion? Move to pass. Alderman Raboyes moves to pass on this item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and this item is passed. Thank you. Good luck to you. We'll stay on page 3, the bottom. Document number 20318T1 in the 11th Ward. Ordinance was referred on January 15th of 20. Common address 3227 South Aberdeen Street. And the change request, RS3, Residential Single Unit Detached House District, to an RM6, Residential Multi-Unit District. Good morning, Mr. Moore.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name, for the record, is Thomas S. Moore, and with me in a moment here is Anthony Hodes. Mr. Hodes is the managing member of an LLC that purchased this property recently and seeks to improve it. It's a non-conforming 120-plus-year-old building that needs work, and when he was trying to add some amenities like some washing machines for the residents, he discovered there were other problems, like maybe there was a store in there years ago that at some point became a residence. And anyway, the purpose of this change to an RM6 is to allow it to become totally code compliant and to legitimize what is in fact there. And we had a community meeting with Alderman Thompson, and Alderman Thompson is here, and we believe we have his support, and we appreciate your support as well.
Great. Alderman, I'm sure you knew what was on that site for the last 50
Yes,
years. Maybe you
and
can illuminate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, you know, this building has been in that condition, and the current owners came in to make the necessary repairs to improve that building, and when they did, we see this, it's not uncommon, where they went to pull a building permit and they didn't allow them. So this is really, I sort of look at this as more of a technical. It's been in that condition for as long as I've known, and this allows them to go in and make the improvements to enhance that building for the residents that live there and for the neighbors. So we had a community meeting, the community supports it as well as I.
Great. Questions for the alderman or the applicant? Hearing none, can I get a motion? Alderman Lopez moves to pass on this item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and the item is passed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Which way are we going? Are we still with Alderman Thompson? Okay. Okay, so let's move to the middle of page 12. To document number 20301, 11th Ward, ordinance referred on December 18th of 19. Common address 3506 through 20 South Halsted Street. Change request, a B33 Community Shopping District to a C32 Commercial Manufacturing and Employment District, then to a business plan development. Where is attorney? And is it Andrew Scott? No? Alderman will move on? We'll wait? Anybody from, is that DL?
No, no, he moved to another firm,
Okay.
but I don't know where, I don't see him. So you can skip and keep going, and when he gets here,
Okay. Now, this went in front of the Plan Commission, did it not?
it did go to the Plan Commission, it had a favorable
I was there. This is the
yes.
theater.
Ramova Theater. And so I think actually, you know, if we hold this,
You want to hold it?
yeah. If
Okay,
we
it's
hold
an
this,
exciting project.
Very exciting.
Okay, so you let me know when Mr. Scott, we'll put you back up on there.
Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, so now we'll go back to, what are we on? Top of page 4, 12th Ward. Document number 20322. The ordinance was referred on January 15th of 20. The common address 2614 through 2616 West 38th Street. And the change request, RS3, Residential Single Unit Detached House District, to an RT 3.5, Residential 2-Flat Townhouse and Multi-Unit District. We have a letter of support. Do we have anything? Okay. Can we, Counselor?
Yes, good morning, Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, I'm John Escobar on behalf of the managing member, owner, and applicant who's sitting beside me here regarding the proposed zoning amendment request for the property located at 2614-16 West 38th Street. The applicant seeks a zoning amendment to change from the current RS3 district to a RT 3.5 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. The applicant is seeking to meet the bulk and density standards in order to construct a new 2-story multi-family building with 4 dwelling units and 4 on-site parking spaces. The land is currently vacant, and the applicant intends to construct on that vacant land. We've met with the alderman, have garnered his support as well, and today we respectfully request your favorable support and recommendation, and we're ready to field any questions at this time.
Do you have a copy of the letter?
You know, I do not have a copy of the
Because
letter
we
at this
do
time.
not have a copy as we
You
speak.
don't have? Okay, I can provide that to you perhaps later in the day after this hearing here.
What is the wish of the committee? There's- Why don't we do this? Can you find a way
Okay.
to, in the next hour, electronically or something, get this
Okay.
here?
Yeah, that's
Because I
fine.
don't want to, I don't want to not have a letter of support from the alderman.
Okay,
So would
I
you,
can get that
could
over
you
to
withdraw that for a second? Give me an hour? Okay, great. All right, so we'll be anxiously waiting, and then we'll pull it up.
Okay, and I'll just tender it to you?
Yeah,
Okay,
to the committee, yeah.
gotcha.
All right? All right, so we're going to hold on this one. All right. Do we have anything? All right, I'm going to, you have the same issue on the next item. So we're going to hold. We're not holding, we're holding on the item on 38th. We're just going to skip the next one. When you get these letters of support, we'll bring them both back up. All right? Thank you. So now we'll go to the bottom of page 4. Document number 20317, 19th Ward, ordinance referred on January 15th of 20. Common address 1818 West 99th Street. Change request is a B11 neighborhood shopping district to a C22 motor vehicle related commercial district. And, Counselor?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name, for the record, is Thomas S. Moore, and with me momentarily here is Daniel Pappas, who is the managing member of the LLC that owns this property. This is an abandoned property. At one time, it was a gas station, and then it's had some other uses, but it's currently in disrepair, and it's right near the Rock Island train station. And Mr. Pappas has a tenant who will make it into a coffee shop in the front and a landscaping facility, and they're going to use the the large lot out in front, the buildings at the back of the lot, to have landscaping displays for the community. We had a community meeting, and the 19th Ward Committee was very excited about renovating, rejuvenating this property, and particularly at this location. And we have a letter of support from Alderman O'Shea, and we request your support as well.
We do have a letter of support from Alderman O'Shea. Questions from committee members? Quick question. Is this 99th and Longwood?
It's just east of Longwood, about 125 feet.
Okay. Getting a coffee before you decide
Get
what
on
you
the
do for your
Rock Island,
landscaping?
yes.
or whatever? All right. Hearing no questions, do I have a motion to move? Alderman Lopez moves to pass on this item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Continuing Chair, the ayes have it. Item is passed.
Thank you very much.
All right. Good luck to you. All right. Now we're going to go top of page 5. Document number 20309, 26th Ward, ordinance referred on January 15th of this year. Common address 1736 North Kedzie Avenue, and the change request, RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District to an RM 4.5 Residential Multi-Unit District. Counselor?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Daniel Box, and I'm an attorney with the law offices of Sam Banks, located at 221 North LaSalle. I'm here today on behalf of the applicant, WC Legacy LLC. Present with me is Mr. and Mrs. Diego Carrillo. The applicant owns the subject property located at 1736 North Kedzie Avenue. The property is currently improved with a two-story, two-unit residential building, which is non-conforming. The applicant is proposing to bring into compliance an existing second dwelling unit located within the existing multi-unit building at the subject site. No changes are proposed to the height, setbacks, or footprint of the building. On-site garage parking for 2 cars will continue to be provided at the rear of the subject property. In order to permit the project, the applicant is seeking a zoning change from an RS3 single-unit detached house district to an RM5 residential multi-unit district. We have worked with the local community.
The RM 4.5 or RM 5?
Excuse me, RM 4.5.
Okay.
My mistake, Alderman. RM 4.5 residential multi-unit district. We have worked with the local community and with the alderman on this project. If I'm not mistaken, a letter of support has been provided.
I know you brought a copy of the letter of support from Alderman Maldonado.
Yeah, I have it up in my.
Pardon me?
I hope that I have it up in my file. Yes.
Up in your file up there? Or in your office?
Yeah, it might be in my office. Alderman.
Okay,
I'll have to go.
so again, we're not moving it. We're going to put a hold on it right now.
Sure.
Let's find a way to get it to the committee,
Okay.
like
Great.
as soon as you can.
Okay.
All right, so we'll hold on the item. All right, which gets me to the next. Do we have anything from? All right, we're in Alderman Maldonado's ward, so I hope that the applicant has letters of support for the applications. So let's start with number 20307, 26th Ward, ordinance referred on January 15th of 20. You want to, okay, we'll hold on this item until we get a verification from the alderman. Written, okay? Or electronic, whatever, we got to get it. Let me ask about, now we're going to move to the bottom of page 5. Hold on a second. No, nothing from Alderman Maldonado. Okay, all right. We're at the bottom of page 5. Document number 20303, 26th Ward, ordinance referred on January 15th of this year, common address 2046 West Grand Avenue. Change request B22 Mixed Use District to a B32 Community Shopping District. Oh. Okay, we will hold on that. All right, top of page 6. Document number 20306, 29th Ward, ordinance referred on January 15th of 20, and the common address 6221 through 6235 West Wabansia Avenue and 1655 North Merrimack Avenue. The change request is RS3, Residential Single Unit Detached House District, to an RM 4.5 Residential Multi-Unit District. Tyler?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Tyler Manick of the Shane Banks Law Firm. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Daniel Breslin, who owns the property located at 6221 West Wabansia. Mr. Breslin seeks a zoning amendment to 6221 West Wabansia from an RS3 zoning district to an RM 4.5 zoning district. The existing building is a masonry two-story building with 10 dwelling units. It's approximately 100 years old. However, 2 of the garden units are considered non-conforming by the city. By this zoning amendment, the applicant seeks to make all 10 dwelling units conforming. No changes are being proposed to the structure or design of the existing building. Prior to filing this application, the applicant met with Alderman Taliaferro to discuss this project, and no concerns have been raised by the community about this project either. The Alderman has given us his support for the project, and I do believe you have a letter of support in your file.
We do have a letter of support.
At this time, Mr. Breslin and I would be happy to answer any questions, but we'd like this committee's favorable recommendation to approve this zoning amendment.
Questions by committee members? Hearing none, Alderman Lopez moves to pass. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
oh, thank you very much. Now, if you're ready, Alderman Irvin. We're going to go back to, looks like page 2, I believe, right? Okay, give me 1 second. We're going to do this one. And okie dokie, you guys are going to make me dizzy today. All right. Let me go back for the members, page 2. Document number A as in Albert, 8507 in the 28th Ward. Ordinance referred on November 26th of 19. The common address is 2701 through 13 West Harrison Street, and the change request, M12 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District to an RT4 Residential 2-flat Townhouse and Multi-Unit District. Alderman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This apparently seemed to be more of a mistake when the area was rezoned, I guess, years ago. There are 4 3-flat buildings that sit in what traditionally would have been a M1 type space. However, these buildings are over 100 years old and probably should have never been zoned as M zoning when that map amendment took place, I guess probably some 15 years ago. And these 4 houses sit next to, right on the corner of Washtenaw and Harrison, 4 houses on the corner there. But the rest of the block is light manufacturing and other things, but these 4 houses sit by themselves. The predominant zone in any area is the RT4, and which is directly behind it, but these 4 houses somehow got mapped into a M district, and they should not have been.
All right. Questions for the Alderman? Hearing none, can I get a motion? Alderman Haddon moves to pass on the item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and the item is passed. Thank you, Alderman. Do you have anything else on here?
Yeah, the next one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Stay on page 2. We have document number 8508 in the 28th Ward. The ordinance was referred on November 26th of 19. This common address is 500 through 514 South Claremont Avenue, 501 through 515 South Claremont Avenue, 500 through 514 South Oakley Boulevard, and 2300 through 2344 West Harrison Street. The change request to an RT4 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district to an RT 3.5 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. Alderman?
Thank you again, Mr. Chairman. This zoning request was part of a much larger area for the Tri-Taylor community. the request from the Tri-Taylor Community Association to bring the zoning down a tad bit and to create larger lot sizes to build bigger units. So currently, what we're seeing in that community are tear downs, and the association is not interested in continuing to have tear downs and wants to preserve the historical character of the neighborhood. And by making this slight adjustment, we believe that it will stop these types of activities of buildings being torn down and built back with much larger, denser units, which is not in the character of the neighborhood.
Well, Alderman, before we go into questions, I know you have a more holistic area. Is that correct, Nicole?
Yes.
And this is only a portion of this?
No, actually, there's a portion. Okay, let me say, Tri-Taylor is roughly bounded by the Eisenhower on the south, Roosevelt Road to the north, Ogden to the west, and there are a set of railroad tracks in between Rockwell and Washtenaw. I'm sorry, on the east, and then to the west, there are a set of railroad tracks that separate East Garfield Park from Near West Community in between Rockwell and Washtenaw. So that box right there is what the Tri-Taylor Community Association we've been focused on. And again, the zoning there is extremely generous. I mean, you have RM5, you have a lot of just very dense type zoning, and the community wants to step that back a little bit. So this has been part of a larger conversation. We passed one set, I think, a month or two ago. This is the second set, and then there's another set on the west side of Western, between Western and the railroad tracks I mentioned earlier. So this is all part of that whole conversation.
Great. But questions for the Alderman on this specific application? Hearing none, Alderman Lopez moves to pass on the item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion Chair, the ayes have it. Item is passed. Thank you very much, Alderman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think that's all.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. We do not have Alderman Laspada yet, correct? No. Okay. So where are we at? Where are we moving? Oh, we're going back to the 26th Ward. All right. What's the page? Oh, 1736. Okay, so now we held this one, we heard the testimony, but let me call it up again. Top of page 5, document number 20309, 26th Ward ordinance was referred on January 15th, 20. Common address 1736 North Kedzie, and the change request RS3 residential single unit detached housing district to an RM 4.5 residential multi-unit district. So, Counselor, we heard your testimony. What we didn't have at the time was the letter of support. Where is that? Okay. So, we do have letter of support. Do we have questions from committee members? Hearing none. Alderman Kappelman moves to pass on the item. All those in favor? Any opposed? Opinion Chair, the ayes have it, and this item is passed. Now we're going to hear for the first time, if the middle of page 5, middle of page 5, document number 20307, 26th Ward, ordinance referred on January 15th of 20, common address 1327 through 29 North Artesian Avenue, change request RS3, residential single unit detached house district to an RM 4.5 residential multi-unit district. Counselor?
Good morning once again, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Daniel Box on behalf of the Daniel Box. I'm an attorney with the law offices of Samuel V.P. Banks, located at 221 North LaSalle. I'm here today on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Kranti Kambampati. Unfortunately, Mr. Kambampati is on the other side of the pond, so is out of the country today and wasn't able to attend. The applicant owns the subject property located at 1327 through 29 North Artesian Avenue. The subject property consists of 2 zoning lots and is improved with a 3-story, 3-unit residential building. The applicant is seeking a zoning change in order to permit the legal subdivision of the zoning lot into 2 separate and independent zoning lots. After the lot is divided, the applicant is proposing to permit a new 3-story, 3-unit residential building at 1327 North Artesian Avenue. The new building will be 38 feet and 3 inches in height, and on-site surface parking for 3 vehicles will be provided at the rear of the lot. The existing 3-dwelling unit building at 1329 North Artesian will remain without change. In order to permit the project, the applicant is seeking a zoning change from an RS3 residential single-unit detached house district to an RM 4.5 residential multi-unit district. We have worked with the local community and with Alderman Maldonado on this project. I know that you now have his letter of support, and with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Questions from committee members? Alderman Wagasback.
The location, is that just, which streets is it bounded by, or bound by?
So it's located on Artesian and is bounded by, let me see if my memory serves me correctly. It's bounded by Potomac and Potomac to the
Keep that
south.
for me.
And Hirsch?
And Hirsch, that's right.
That's all I had. Thank you. Thank you.
Other questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion? Alderman Haddon moves to pass on the item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it. Item is passed.
Thank you.
All right. We have not heard from the Grand Avenue. Dean Marigus, is he not here yet? Okay. You just raise your hand. We'll get you on the docket, or back on the docket. All right. All right. Bottom of page 6. And this item is 20319, 33rd Ward. The ordinance was referred on January 15th of this year, and the common address is 3941 North Christiana Avenue, and the change request, RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District to an RT4 Residential 2-flat Townhouse and Multi-Unit District. You're a busy guy this morning, sir. Identify yourself and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Tyler Manick of the Shane Banks Law Firm. I'm here with the applicant, Greg Davis. Mr. Davis purchased 3941 Christiana, which has an existing 2.5-story masonry building with 3 dwelling units. Mr. Davis acquired this building to be an owner-occupied building. The garden unit, however, is considered non-conforming. Mr. Davis seeks to reside in this garden unit and continue to rent the other 2 units in order to offset the costs associated with home ownership. The building has an existing 3-car garage. Mr. Davis seeks by this application to amend the zoning from an RS3 to an RT4 zoning district to allow the 3rd unit to become a conforming unit and allow him to refinance the property. No changes are being proposed to the building as the unit is existing. Prior to filing, the applicant shared his plans with the alderman and the local community groups in the 33rd Ward. This application did not receive any community opposition, and the alderman kindly gave her support to this project. I believe you have...
We have a letter of support from Alderman Rodriguez Sanchez.
Thank you. We'd be happy to answer any questions and respectfully request this committee's favorable support.
Questions from committee members? I know we have the applicant here.
Correct.
He must be really true to his word. He's going to live in the garden apartment rather than the top apartment. So we're not going to have that as part of the covenant, though.
The other 2 are already rented.
That's good.
Yeah.
Good. Well, we know renting and home ownership is a lot more expensive. So appreciate your investment in the community. And with that, do we have a motion or other questions from committee? Alderman Burnett moves to pass on the item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and good luck to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. And then we're going to go to top of page 7. Top of page 7. Document number 20311, that's 20311, 35th Ward, ordinance referred on January 15th of this year. Common address 3647 through 57 West Lawrence Avenue, and the change request is a B32 Community Shopping District to a C12 Neighborhood Commercial District. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman Tani and members of the committee. For the record, I'm Fernando Grillo, and I'm here representing the applicant, the Suk M. Kim Trust, represented by Ms. Kim, owner of the subject property. In their application for an amendment to the zoning ordinance from a B32 Community Shopping District to a C1-2 Neighborhood Commercial District to allow for wholesale secondary to its current retail use. The gentleman to the right, Mr. Patel, is the lessor and the tenant in the subject property. This proposed amendment will support the retention of an existing business in the Lawrence Avenue corridor at a time when there's increased commercial vacancies, and it'll allow my client's tenant to expand this business, thereby creating additional employment opportunities for residents in the community. Both my client, Ms. Kim, and her tenant are present. We have worked with Alderman Carlos Rosa and have made ourselves available to other community groups on this, Mr. Chair, and we ask for your support. And I believe there's a letter. Okay, I have copies for you. Approach?
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, we do, for the record, we do have a letter of support from Alderman Ramirez Rosa. We have any questions from our committee members? Hearing none, got a motion by Alderman Raboyes, moves to do pass on the item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it. Quick question, what's the size of the whole operation?
It's 16,550 square feet in the building. We currently occupy 2 of the storefronts, and it'll allow him to expand on a block that is really.
Oh, we're all for the,
Yeah.
but how big is going to be upon completion? How big is this
16
tenancy?
16,000.
The whole building?
Yeah, 16,000,
Okay.
the whole first floor. It's a mixed-use building.
Fine, great. We do not want vacant storefronts anywhere on our commercial street, so appreciate it. And I got the motion to move due pass on the item, so good luck to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members.
Opinion chair, the ayes have, the item is passed. All right. Now we're going to be on the middle of page 7. Document number 20304. In the 36th Ward, the ordinance was referred on January 15th of 20. The common address of this one is 3413 through 3417 North Central Avenue, and the change request, a B31 Community Shopping District to a C22 Motor Vehicle-Related Commercial District. Mr. Moore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name, for the record, is Thomas S. Moore, and with me today is Alan Spaeth, Steve Ryan, and Eddie Alvarado, who are the principals in a company that you've all seen their work. They do specialty costumes and outfits for parades locally for Bud Billiken and St. Patrick's Day, but nationally for Macy's.
Whoa. Gay Pride, too, I think?
And Great Pride, sorry.
Okay, just want to put that in the record, okay?
And Macy's and the Rhodes Parade, and they're looking for a new home in Chicago, and they found this facility, which is perfect, but to properly reflect their use, we're asking for a change to a C22, and we have the support of the local community and of Alderman Villegas, and we respectfully request your support as well.
I know Alderman Villegas was here, but we do have a letter of support from him. Okay. Questions for the counselor or the applicants? Hearing no questions, can I get a motion to move due pass? Alderman Cardona moves due pass on this item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and this item is passed. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming down. And a very creative group you are. All right, we're going to, what page? We're going to go back to bottom of page 5. And this is in the 26th Ward, document number 20303. The ordinance was referred on January 15th of 20. The common address is 2046 West Grand Avenue, and the change request, B22 Neighborhood Mixed-Use District to a B32 Community Shopping District. Counselor, good morning, Dean.
Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I appreciate your indulgence. My name is Dean T. Marigus of the law firm of Marigus and Marigus, representing the owner and applicant, Chris Spina, who is here with me. We are asking to go from B22 Neighborhood Mixed Use District to B32 Community Shopping District to allow a restaurant with liquor to operate an incidental full-service bar on the first floor. We have consulted and received the approval of both Alderman Maldonado, and I have the letter here approving it, and also from the community organization.
Okay.
And we will entertain any questions that the committee may have for us.
All right, so we do, let me just make sure. So this is a letter of support from Alderman Maldonado on this item. Any questions from committee members? Hearing none, Alderman Walter Burnett moves to pass on the item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and this item is passed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, now where are we at now? Okay. Bottom of page 7. Document number 20315, in the 39th Ward. The ordinance was referred on January 15th of 20. Common address is 3244 through 50. Bryn Mawr Avenue, West Bryn Mawr Avenue, I should say. Change request is a B12 Neighborhood Shopping District to a B23 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. Rolando, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Rolando Acosta here on behalf of the applicant. Here with me is Irina Koval, representing the applicant. This is a parcel, it's a 12,500 square foot parcel on Bryn Mawr Avenue on the north side of Bryn Mawr, and what's essentially the commercial area of this neighborhood that has been a little underutilized for at least 10 years, if not 30 years. I should say, Mr. Chairman, I live about 2 blocks from here and have for about 30 years. So I'm very familiar with this parcel. We're trying to revitalize, the alderman's trying to revitalize this portion of Bryn Mawr, get more density there so that the commercial can be occupied. And in that regard, my client's proposing to build a 30-unit, 4-story, 30-unit building with 30 parking spaces, 1,500 square feet of commercial on the ground floor fronting Bryn Mawr. The building has a significant facade, so we are preserving the facade and building the new building behind the existing facade. We had a community meeting in the neighborhood and received the support of the local community organization. And I did notice that Alderman Nugent was here earlier, but she seemingly has left.
We spoke to the alderman on this? Okay. All right.
Happy to answer any questions.
Alderman Nugent has voiced her support for this project. Do you have something else you want?
I had one more matter. When I noted the address...
On this application?
On this application,
okay.
Sir. When I noted the address on the ordinance at the bottom, I used the full address range that could theoretically correspond to this property, which would be 3244-52. The neighbor who is on the property that could also be 52 was rather upset about my use of the 52. So I committed to her so that she would no longer be so upset that I would amend to just change, the only thing I've changed is the address at the very bottom, and I have a substitute ordinance for that.
Well, thanks for telling us. What are we doing here?
Yeah, that's just a Scrivener's error. I mean, the common address is just there to give us an idea where it's at. The ordinance controls, so it doesn't include that property. So there really is no need for a substitute unless
I tried to explain that to her. She wasn't listening, so I figured rather than have her continue to be upset, I'd...
Well, we'll take it anyways.
Sure. Thank
But we're not doing a substitute.
Okay.
Okay, but we'll have it for the file. Okay, other questions? Hearing no questions, Alderman Walter Burnett moves to pass on the item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and this item is passed.
Thank you.
Okay, fine, we're gonna, so now we're in the bottom of page 8, correct? Oh, we're skipping the item in 42 because the alderman would like to testify on it.
In the meantime, we can go back to the 12th order, where they have their letters of support.
All right. We're gonna get dizzy here, running around. All right, what are we gonna do now? We're gonna page? All right, I'm sorry, committee members, we're gonna go a little bit out of order, back to page 4. This is in Alderman Cardenas's ward, is that correct? Correct. So we've held on document number 20322 in the 12th ward. Ordinance we referred on January 15th of this year, and the common address is 2614 through 16 West 38th Street. Change request RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an R3.5 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. So we've heard the testimony on this one, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Identify yourself for us.
Yes, again, John Escobar on behalf of the applicant owner. He's here alongside of me. I do have the executed letter of support I can tender you now, yes.
That would be great. Are we ready on this one? Okay, so Alderman Cardenas has provided a letter of support on this item. Any questions from committee members? Hearing none, Alderman Dow moves to pass on this item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and this item is passed.
Thank you.
Now we're going to move to the middle of page 4, just beneath it, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Item number 20321, 12th Ward, ordinance referred on January 15th of this year. Common address is 2615 West 37th Place, and the change request from an RS3 residential single-unit detached house district to an RT 3.5 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. Proceed.
Yes, again, good morning, Chairman, members of the committee. For the record, Attorney John Escobar here on behalf of the applicant who's here standing next to me and the owner of the property. The applicant is proposing a zoning amendment request for the property located at 2615 West 37th to change the current RS3 district to an RT 3.5 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district. The land is currently vacant, and the applicant intends to construct a new 2-story multifamily building with 4 dwelling units and 4 on-site parking spaces. We have met with the alderman and have garnered his support. I'll tender over the letter of support now.
We do have the letter of support from Alderman Cardenas.
And today we respectfully request your favorable support and recommendation, and we're ready to answer any questions.
Questions from committee members? Just a quick one from me. You're on both sides of the street now?
Yes, there's an alley that divides us. This was an old funeral home.
Okay.
It was vacant for many years. We demolished it to create these 2 vacant lots, and they're right across the alley from one another.
Okay, for the record, could you identify yourself?
Yes, my name is David Swick, managing member of the LLCs.
All right. All right, any questions for the owner? All right, hearing none, Alderman Pat Dowell moves to pass on this item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it.
Thank you, Chairman.
You're going to bring life back to this.
Yes.
I'm a former funeral home landowner in my home.
Thank you for that.
Okay, where are we at? Okay, moving to page 8. Okay. All right. Bottom of page 8. Item number 20305 in the 43rd Ward. Ordinance is referred on January 15th of 20. Common address, 2200 North Clark Street. Change request, B13 Neighborhood Shopping District to a B33 Community Shopping District. Katie, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Katie Jinkydale from the law firm of DLA Piper, located at 444 West Lake Street, which represents Old Pro LLC, the applicant for a zoning map amendment for property generally located at 2200 North Clark. With me today are representatives from the applicant and their tenant. The property is approximately 11,508 square feet and located on the west side of Clark and improved with a mixed-use building with ground floor commercial and residential above. The property is currently zoned B13, and the applicant is seeking a rezoning to the B33 to allow for the reuse of one of the ground floor spaces for a general restaurant. We've worked closely with Alderman Smith's office on this project and presented to the community in December. The proposal is very well received and enjoyed broad support from those who attended. We have a letter of support in the file or here today from Alderman Smith and are available to answer any questions you may have. We respectfully request that you recommend City Council approval of the application. Thank you.
We do have a letter of support from Alderman Michelle Smith. Questions? I get a motion move to pass on the item by Alderman Haddon, moves to pass on the item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it. Do we have this our restaurant group? What kind of restaurant?
It'll be a destination fine dining restaurant.
Oh, good for you. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Now we're going to middle of page 9. I'm not going to divulge that, but yeah, probably about at least the young man. So, all right, middle of page 9. Document number 20313, 45th Ward. Ordinance referred on January 15th of this year. Common address 3740 through 3770 North Milwaukee Avenue, 3601 through 3609, and 3631 through 3739 North Kilbourne Avenue, and 4440 through 4448 West Addison Avenue. And the change request is an M11, currently an M11 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District to a T Transportation District. And I believe we have a substitute. We want to do that first? Okay. So we have a substitute on this item. Alderman Lopez moves to accept the substitute ordinance. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it, and the substitute is before us. Okay. Sounds like an exciting project. Let's talk about it.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the record, my name is Scott Safe of the law firm Sidley Austin, LLP, offices at 1 South Dearborn in Chicago. I'm here on behalf of the Commuter Rail Division of the Regional Transportation Authority, known as METRA. With me today, to my right, is Nate Morris, Director of Civil and Structural Design for METRA. And to his right is Eliza Stanford, a structural engineer in METRA's engineering department. METRA is seeking a rezoning from M11 to T. The purpose of the rezoning is to facilitate the rehabilitation and reconstruction of METRA's Grayland Station, which is on its Milwaukee District North Line. The area to be rezoned is generally in the vicinity of Milwaukee, Kilbourne, and Addison. It's a long rectangular stretch. METRA has about 70, just under 70 parking spaces. That number is not changing. The station today consists of platforms and an older concrete inbound shelter and a couple small shelters on the east side. What's happening is, in conjunction with a replacement of a 120-year-old railroad bridge over Milwaukee Avenue, METRA is improving and upgrading the station. The platforms will be slightly relocated. There'll be new brick, glass, and metal enclosed passenger shelters, which will be constructed with doors and on-demand heat, and station improvements, which will include accessible ramps to both platforms, inbound and outbound, making the station fully accessible. A temporary station will be built to allow the station to continue to function during construction. The temporary station will be closer to Addison, To the south, it's a $30 million project funded by, it's in significant part by federal dollars. Metro hopes to begin in the summer of this year and finish the project in 2022. We'd be happy to answer any questions and would appreciate your favorable consideration.
Now, have you talked, do we have a letter of support from Alderman Gardner? Okay, so we do have a letter of support from the Alderman. And then, so questions from committee members. I have Alderman Roboyas. Ariel?
That is, thank you, Chairman. That's a rendering, obviously. Was there any planning involved regarding the parking spaces? If you're moving south closer to Addison, I don't know if that's going to happen temporary. Are you guys adding any more parking that we need in that area? I'm just immediately on the Addison side. That was asked years ago. We had a conversation on this matter years ago.
The parking was expanded, you probably know, was expanded in the last few years. There's 67 parking spaces. The platforms are moving just 30 feet south, so still within the boundaries of the existing parking. There is no plan to change the parking that was.
No additional parking spaces?
I don't know if there's any room for the additional parking.
There's no additional.
Whoa, hold on a second. You're saying, his question is the amount of parking. What I'm hearing is there's no additional parking.
Correct.
Okay, now do you have, you want to bring your, identify yourself and let's hear from you.
All right, I'm Nate Morris, Director of Structural Design for Metra. And no, there will be no additional parking. We're maintaining the existing parking as it is out there.
How many parking spaces do you guys have now?
67.
And what are the hours on that?
What are the hours on the parking?
That's correct.
I don't believe the hours are restricted. The only change to the parking will be during the time of construction. Some of the parking spaces may be out of operation to allow for staging of the crews.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Other questions? Hearing none, can I get a motion? Alderman Cardona moves to pass on this item as amended. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Then ensure the item is passed as amended. Thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Are we on the bottom page 9? Okay. All right. We're in the bottom of page 9, the document number 20314 in the 46th Ward. Ordinance was referred on January 15th of this year. Common address is 4071 North Broadway. Change request is the C13 Neighborhood Commercial District to a B23 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. All right. Mr. Silver, good morning. How are you today?
I'm fine, thanks, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to you and to members of the committee. For the record, my name is Warren Silver, Silver Law Office PC. We're here today representing the applicant and owner of the property, Dr. David Lee Hinkamp. He, along with his wife, reside in this property. It is Artist Live Workspace pursuant to special uses granted in October of 2005 and January of 2009. The current zoning is C1-3, and we are seeking to change the zoning to B2-3. The purpose of the zoning change is because Dr. Hinkamp and his wife are seeking to develop some office space for his wife's business in the front of the property. It would involve improvement of the facade, bigger windows, and also reduction of the Artist Live Workspace because they anticipate from time to time, depending on the needs of the artist use and the needs of the business as they may change from time to time, they may in the future want to change again the division between Artist Live Work and office space without coming back for another special use every single time because both uses are permitted without a special use in the B2 district. We're seeking the zoning change. We met with the community, interested community members at the property. Dr. Hinkamp and his wife had them in their home to see the property and discuss the project. We received favorable support, and Alderman Kappelman was in attendance at that meeting and is in attendance here today as well. We invite Alderman Kappelman to speak on it if he would like, and also to entertain questions, and we will ask the committee for its favorable recommendation.
Thank you, sir. Alderman Kappelman.
Thank you. We went through our committee process. The committee was in favor of it, so I ask everyone's support as well. Thank you.
Questions for the applicant or the alderman? Hearing none, can I get a motion? Alderman Raboyes moves to pass on this item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it. Item is passed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Warren. All right, and now we're on page 10. Document number 20316, 47th Ward. Ordinance was referred on January 15th of this year. Common address 3726 North Ashland Avenue, and the change request C12 Neighborhood Commercial District to B23 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the committee.
Is it morning still?
Oh.
Yep. Okay.
Almost. Thank you. My name is Alfred Quijano, Q-U-I-J-A-N-O, on behalf of the applicant KK Court Investments. To my right is Daniel Baranski with the corporation. The applicant owns the property located at 3726 North Ashland and seeks a zoning change from C1-2 to B2-3. The applicant seeks to construct a 4-unit masonry building with four dwelling units and 4 parking spaces. A community meeting was held on November 14th of the year 2019. At that community meeting, members of the community wanted the developer to incorporate certain green elements to the design. So we have entered into a memorandum of understanding with the community to incorporate permeable pavers and a partial green roof design. We did have a letter of support issued by Alderman Martin's office, which I believe you do have.
We have.
So I do ask for your favorable consideration of the application and move forward to any questions you may have.
Questions from committee members? Nope, hearing none. Alderman Cardona moves to pass on the item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and good luck to you. Neighbor? Neighbor? Mhm. Yep. All right. So where are we at now? Are we on deferred? All right, on the deferred agenda, we're on page 11, and we're at the top of page 11. Do we have Laspada? We have a support letter? Okay, so let's bring up item number 20272T1, First Ward, ordinance referred on December 18th of 19. Common address 2418 West Lindale Street, and the change request RS3 Residential Single Unit Detached House District to an RT4 Residential 2-Flat Townhouse and Multi-Unit District. Good morning, Dan.
Chairman Tony, good morning. Is Alderman Laspada here?
No.
Okay, great. So this is 2418.
You knew that already, didn't you?
I just, at 11:30, Mr. Chairman, I got a email with some tweaks.
Okay.
So this is application 20272. There's an amendment, substitute plans and narrative, which we dropped off earlier this week. And I'd like to call out that Alderman Laspada has asked on behalf of the community group that a stone sill be extended out an additional inch. That's a change from the substitute that we dropped off, and that some stone be replaced by a soldier course of brick. I just want to put that on the record because that's what he asked us to do.
So you're changing material?
Yes, that's all. Yeah.
That's it?
That's it.
You're not moving out?
No.
I heard you. I thought you said you were moving a little bit of that.
So I represent EZMB. Mr. Teets was here. I think he just stepped out to go to the restroom, but this is a change to RT4 for 4 units, and they're much larger units. We met with Greater Girthy Neighborhood Association many, many times, and they've been making changes, including at 11:30 this morning, Mr. Chairman. But the site is a little bigger. It's 44 feet by 110. We are reducing the FAR to 1.05 from the normal RT4 FAR, and it sounds as if we have the support of Alderman Laspada as of this morning.
Okay, we do have a letter or an email of support from Alderman La Spada. We need to do a couple of things. First, Alderman Cicho Lopez moves to accept the substantive narrative and plans for the type 1. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the substitute narrative and plans are accepted. Now, based on the testimony, do we have questions from committee members? No, we have no questions. We have Alderman Riley moves to pass with the substantive narrative and plans. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and this item is passed with a substantive narrative and plans.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Okay, so that's that. We have to go back now to the regular agenda, correct?
Mr. Chairman, excuse me,
Dan?
the one that follows on the deferred agenda, could that be continued to a date certain in March?
Okay. Hold on a
Yeah,
second now.
okay.
Dan is requesting which item number, please?
20267? Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sorry
Okay.
about that. Yeah.
All right. What do we say, page 12? Where are we at for Brendan? Okay, is licensing over? Okay, middle of page 8, document number 20310 in the 42nd Ward. The ordinance was referred on January 15th of 20. Common address 57 through 63 West Erie Street. And the change request is plan development number 1356 to a DX5 downtown mixed-use district. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Meg.
Good morning, Mr.
Chief.
Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Meg George, an attorney with the law firm of Ackerman LLP. I am here today on behalf of my client, LG Development Group LLC. Joining me is Mr. Gabe LaHoo, Design and Program Manager for LG Development. Together, we are requesting your support and approval to remove 57 to 61 West Erie from residential plan development number 1356 and to rezone it to its existing underlying zoning district of DX-5. The project is located within Alderman Riley's 42nd Ward in the River North neighborhood. The plan development was originally approved in January 2017 for a 12-story residential condo building. The project has since changed to a 6-story hotel building with 28 hotel rooms and ground floor retail. The proposed use is allowed in the existing underlying district, and as the project no longer triggers the planned development height or bonus threshold, we are seeking its removal. We have met with the Department of Transportation, the Department of Planning and Development, the River North Residents Association, and Alderman Riley to develop these revised plans. That concludes our presentation, but we're ready to answer any questions that you may have.
Point of clarification, I see on the narrative it's a 5-story, now it's a 6-story?
Yeah, it's six-story. Still under the,
Yeah, I just,
yes, no, thank you.
okay.
Yeah.
Alderman Riley, would you like to speak on this item, on Erie?
Thank you, Chairman. I'm here to speak in support of this change. As was noted by council, there was a plan development in place on this site that was approved in 2017 for a much larger residential structure. Obviously, that plan was not able to be executed, so the developers come back with a revised proposal that would allow for a boutique-style hotel, only a handful of keys, and that was met with positive comments from the River North Residents Association. It will not be a disruptive use on this block. This block is a mix of mixed-use buildings, residential and commercial, and generally the neighborhood believes that this will be a positive addition. So for those reasons, I support the application and would be happy to answer any questions, and I'd urge a favorable recommendation by this committee. Thank you, Chairman.
Questions for the alderman or the applicant? So, quick question, boutique is a very all-encompassing word. Is there a banner under a certain hotel brand, and what are the number of hotel keys?
It's 28 hotel keys, and the flag is Sonder.
They do short-term rentals that are apartment-style keys. They provide kitchens and washer and dryers for their occupants.
And Sonder has met with the alderman several times regarding other developments and this development.
Alderman?
And actually, Chairman, if I could, just to explain very briefly the Sonder model, because it sounds a little different, it is. Sonder's approach is to take, typically it's existing buildings, in this case it'll be new construction, and rehabbing those buildings and inserting these units. They do get licensed as hotels, but the units themselves do behave a lot like a VRBO type of arrangement, so that you could spend a bit more time there. There's a bit more amenity within the unit. There is, a limited staff on site, but certainly the site is secured and serviced with linens and these sorts of things. So it's not as grand a scale of an operation as a traditional hotel, but that's how this particular model works. And again, in this case, we're talking about 28 keys.
Great, thank you. Alderman Dowell.
Yeah, I have a question for the alderman. Alderman, do they have the right to do Airbnb type activity, or do they do Airbnb type activity?
They're actually, because they're licensed as a hotel operator, they are bound by all the strictures of the code that apply. But again, you don't have the full suite of services you might get in a typical limited service hotel. But they do have folks servicing the site, cleaning it, they have security, but maybe not a concierge, a bellhop, and check-in. Perhaps the operator or the developer could speak to it in more detail. But it is a very scaled back version of a limited service hotel when it comes to the actual services. Really, these are units being let out, and folks have a remote key that they can use to access the unit.
They do.
Wait, hold on. Alderman Dowell?
I thank the alderman for that explanation, but my question was specific to the ability to operate Airbnb type activity in a Sonder
Meg, do you want to answer that on behalf of the
business
applicant?
model.
Sonder is a hotel operator. They pay hotel tax. These are not listed on Airbnb or VRBO websites. So how they operate differently is that their target customer, they tell me all the time, is the experientialist. I had to ask them what that word was. And it's apparently like this new generation that doesn't really want to interact with concierge desk type people. So everything is through your phone. So your hotel room key is on the app on your phone. So you go directly to the door, the outer door, and then the inner door with that key. So, but we do have staff on site. But it's not as many staff as you'd see at like a larger hotel chain. There's not like a significant front desk.
And I guess my last question, I know that Sonder is like scaling up in Chicago. Is this model that you are describing the model that's being used in every location that they operate in Chicago?
Yes, for every new Sonder development, they are operating this model. But as Alderman Riley stated, typically they go into existing buildings and try to rehab. This is a little bit different for them in that they're doing a new construction.
Well, I have them in my ward in a new building, and so I just want to make sure that the way they operate in the 42nd ward is the same way they're operating in the 3rd ward.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, Alderman Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Airbnb was mentioned, but Airbnb is not the only rental platform that is vulnerable to being used for illegal parties and loud activities. Sonder is one of the companies that has discussed at least utilizing technology to find out if their property is being used for a party. They were actually considering having sound monitor devices installed within the building that could detect a loud, raucous party and give them advance notice. Is that a feature that this building will have incorporated into it?
Feature for all of their buildings, and it doesn't record, but it monitors decibel levels, and if it gets to a certain decibel level, the person on site and their manager are both notified. Thank you.
So Meg, you had an issue about experiential, and Alderman Cicho Lopez left as you were saying that. So maybe Alderman Haddon can describe this young experiential experience that you all looking for in hotels.
Do I get to speak for millennials? Wow.
I don't know what, but as a hotel guy, this is very interesting in terms of, no services as you walk in the hotel, and just go to your room. You got, and everything's on your phone and the key. So, Alderman Haddon, maybe you can help us with that.
So I haven't been to one of your facilities, and no offense to the model, but going to a hotel with no people and no staff does not necessarily sound quite like my...
Welcoming to you?
No, we were actually laughing about the noise management system and how a concierge or front desk person would serve that really well. Yeah, not sure.
Sorry, I'm an ex or whatever the hell I am. I don't know. So, but you were the youngest person in the room. I thought you might be able to help us with that. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, as it was stated, the hotel business is changing as we speak, from traditional models to not traditional models. And, I'm excited. Do you have other sites in Chicago?
LG Development owns 417 South Dearborn. It's a 30-key Sonder building. They occupy the whole building, similar to what we're proposing here. And they've been in operation for just over a year now. No issues.
Okay. Yep. All right.
Gabe Lee, who with LG Development Group.
Great. Comments or more questions? Hearing none. Alderman Kappelman moves to pass on this item as is. All those in favor? Aye. Alderman, I should have had you move the ordinance. I'm sorry. Any opposed? Hearing none. Item is passed. Congratulations. All right. What we're bottom of page 11. Okay. All right. Bottom of page 11. Number 20139, 4th Ward, ordinance referred on September 18th of 19. Common address is 1330 East 53rd Street. Change request, plan development 1218 to plan development 1218 as amended. Who's coming down? Hello? Are we here? We were all mesmerized by the previous application. So.
Chairman, I'm Amy Curson from the law firm Reyes Curson. On behalf of Enterprise Rent-A-Car, I have Dana Melzer here from Enterprise Rent-A-Car as well. We're here on an incredibly easy matter. This is an existing building. It's an existing parking structure, and Enterprise Rent-A-Car would like to use some of the parking spaces that are not otherwise required to park and lease cars. This is a simple use change in an existing plan development. We did have a community meeting. We have support from the community. We have the alderman's letter of support, and I'm hoping this will be your easiest matter of the day.
Okay. Do we have a letter of support, first of all? Do you have one?
I have one with me.
Okay. Would you submit it to us, please? So we'll do a couple things. First, we want to incorporate the plans from the Plan Commission. Alderman Raboyes moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Records are incorporated. And we've heard your testimony. We have a letter of support? Yes, we do. Questions from committee members? Sounds like a pretty reasonable and easy, if there is such a thing.
There's such a thing.
All right. Questions, comments? Hearing none. Alderman Haddon moves to pass as revised. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and this item is passed as revised.
Thank you very much.
All right. Yes. All right. Now we want to move back to, where are we at now? We're in the Alderman Cicho Lopez. I think we're, what page? We're on bottom of page 12. And this item is 20300T1 in the 25th Ward. The ordinance was referred on December 18th of 19. Common address 1751 West 21st Place. And the change request, RT4 residential 2-flat townhouse and multi-unit district to a B23 neighborhood mixed use district. Tyler, let's go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Tyler Manick of the Shane Banks Law Firm. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Harrison Street Partners, who owns a property located at 1751 West 21st Place, which is the subject of this application. Matir Patel is here on behalf of the ownership and would be happy to answer any questions afterwards. This is an existing building, is a 2-story, 4-unit building. The purpose of the rezoning is to allow the applicant to perform deferred maintenance on the building and add a 3rd story where 2 new dwelling units will be located. The applicant has agreed to make these 2 new units affordable so that after rezoning, the building will be free of any structural deficiencies, have a 3rd story, and will have a total of 6 dwelling units, 2 of which will be affordable. Prior to filing this application, the applicant met with the alderman and his zoning advisory council. And the applicant, I believe, is here to voice his support for this application to amend the zoning of 1751 West 21st Place to a B23 zoning district.
Great. So Alderman Cicho Lopez.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll also like to thank the applicant for working with us. Obviously, in Pilsen, we have a big issue of affordable housing, especially when it's below 10 units. It's not a mandate to provide affordable housing. I'm very glad to see more proposals being sensitive to that and working with us. We'll be working with the Commissioner of Housing to make sure that these units remain affordable, but I really want to thank the applicant to be willing to work with us and be sensitive to the needs of the neighborhood. So I'm in support of this application, and I look forward to make sure that we find a process to keep these 2 units affordable, and that's a great thing for the community.
Thank you, Alderman. Good work in your community. Questions for the Alderman or the applicant? I have just a quick one, confirmation. We have 6 units upon completion with 1 parking space? Okay, so there'll be 3 parking spaces.
Correct.
Okay, just a little footnote on my records here. Okay. Do I have a motion? Alderman Dowell moves to pass on this item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it. Item is passed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Good luck to you, sir. All right. Staying on page 12, on the top, item number 20287, 8th Ward, ordinance referred on December 18th of 19. The common address is 1050 through 1060 East 95th Street, and the change request from M11 Limited Manufacturing Business Park District to M21 Light Industry District.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon.
Members of the committee, Rolando Acosta, here on behalf of the applicant. Here with me is Shirayu Patel, on behalf of DL3, the applicant. The matter before you is to rezone this property from an M11 to an M21. It is a 28,800 square foot parcel with approximately 13,600 square foot building. The purpose of the rezoning is to enable the property to be used. We'll also have to seek a special use for a craft grow facility for a social equity applicant. We are currently working with a series of them, trying to find the appropriate one for the site. We have had a meeting in the community. Alderman Harris had one at her offices, and we have received the support of the community as well as the alderman, who I believe has communicated that to the committee.
Yep. The Alderman has committed her support on this item.
We're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions? Alderman Walter Burnett.
Yeah, thank you. So you have so when you say social equity, what's the makeup?
So the proposal here is that the ultimate operator will be predominantly, that's over 50%, hopefully as much as possible, African American.
Is this the one that Leon is involved in?
Leon Walker is the principal of DL3 Realty, the owner of the property, yes.
He's the owner of the property, so he's
Yes.
going to be part of the business also?
He may be part of the operator here.
So may is a big word.
It is a big word. We have to first get a operator, but we're only talking to African-American social equity operators. And then whether Leon is part of it or not will depend on terms. But we have committed to the alderman as well as the community that there will be African-American operators.
So the craft grow, and I'm not familiar with how the craft grow works. Is it, and excuse my ignorance, right? Because all this estate stuff. Is it similar to the dispensaries?
No. So craft grow is the production
I know it's the production.
of cannabis.
I'm talking about is it similar to how they trying to do the rollout with the new dispensaries and you have to have social equity?
It is similar in that respect, although you can have craft grow that doesn't have social equity in it, just like the dispensaries. There is a round of craft grow licensing that the state is going to open up in early March that before we go to the dispensary. There will be no dispensing from this property. That's another commitment we've made to the neighborhood.
So it won't be any, just growing.
This is just growing, and then it will be shipped off-site for sale.
So how many jobs you think could be produced in this craft grow?
Probably around the 30, 40 jobs. And it depends on how you want to look at jobs. There's jobs on site, but there's also security, there's transportation, there's packaging. So there's a whole set of ancillary jobs. We're also working with Chicago State University because they have a cannabis educational program and trying to link this facility with their program to create a step towards employment. Also with Olive Harvey College, which has a logistics program transporting materials.
So is this going to be, so it's going to be an inside growing facility?
All inside, you won't tell what's happening from the outside.
Mm-hmm. So will this be the first one in the city?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know that there's craft grow, or there may be a cultivation center in the city.
So what's the requirement for craft grows? What zoning is required for?
M2 or M3?
What about PMDs?
I believe you can be in PMDs. I defer to Mr. Valenziano, but I believe that's right.
Let's hear from Stephen.
Steve Valenziano, Department of Planning and Development, and craft growers can be established in the C2, the C3, the D, X, and the M2 and M3 and the planned manufacturing districts.
So if they already have the zoning, do they have to go to ZBA or anything like that?
Yes, all of the cannabis businesses other than transporters have to go through a special use process, so they need the proper base zoning, and then they would need a special use beyond that.
So with the craft grow, so you still have to go to the ZBA?
Yes, sir.
Even with this?
Yes.
And so after you go to the ZBA, do that mean you're approved, or do you still have to go before, the Department of Federal Regulations?
Yes, so the,
Professional regulations?
yeah, the ZBA would only give us approval to use the building, but the licensing is still done by the State Department of Professional Regulation.
So from the dispensary meeting that we had the other night, and Paul Stewart came and explained, after you go to the ZBA, if you get approved at the ZBA, then you have to do a build-out to qualify to go to, this is what the dispensaries, you have to do a build-out to qualify to be able to go before the state to get approved.
No, so the build-out requirement that Mr. Stewart noted the other night is for the plus ones. So those are existing licensees that have medical licenses that would get one more license pursuant to state regulations. This, you do not have to necessarily build it out.
So craft bills don't have to get built out before they go to the state?
That's correct. We need to have filed for our special use before going to the state.
And so you just file for your special use, have your ownership of the space or wherever the space is going to be, have control of the space, I should
Yes, sir.
say. And then you go to the Office of Professional Standards,
A license.
and they give you and they choose who, so do they have, like areas, how many can go in a certain area like the dispensaries?
I don't
And
think.
I'm sorry, I don't know any of this
It's
stuff.
okay. I don't think there's the 1,500, like with dispensaries, there's a 1,500 foot lineal separation. I don't believe that applies to craft grow, but I am not an expert on the state regs.
So you may be they may be able to be next door to each other.
They could. You could also have craft grow and processing, which is creating for example, the edibles, the chocolate bars and gummy bears, in the same building, so long as they are separate operations divided by walls.
So you can have two dispensaries and two craft grows in the same space almost, or?
I think you can have one craft grow and one infuser or processor in the same building, but not the same space.
So you all don't have to go through a lottery or any of those other things?
With the
like
city? No.
I mean, with the state, like you had to, with the city or the state?
No,
You all don't have to do lotteries, there's not zones where you have to have a certain amount of people in?
That's all a matter of city regulations for the state. If we can get to our special use filing, we can file with the state. The state then evaluates whether we are qualified and appropriately organized to operate craft grow. And if they do, they'd give us a license, and then we would build it out.
All right, fantastic.
Other questions?
Thank you for the education.
Well, it's still evolving.
Yeah, it's still evolving. I'm still learning every day, something new.
All right. So Alderman Scott Wagsbeck moves to pass on this item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? In your chair, the ayes have it. Item is passed.
Thank you.
All right. Where are we at now? Okay, so item number 20301, 11th Ward, the ordinance is being requested to be deferred to March 16th of this year. Can I get a motion to defer? Alderman Raboyes moves to defer. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it. Item is deferred. All right, so we are on now. Where are we going to?
You want to catch your breath, or do you want to go?
We'll get there. We'll get to you in a second, okay, Alderman? All right, top of page 13. Document number 20112, 27th Ward, ordinance referred on July 24th of 19. Common address 800 West Lake Street. Change request C11 Neighborhood Commercial District and C25 Motor Vehicle Related Commercial District to DX7 Downtown Mixed Use District, and then to a business plan development. Katie, start.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Katie Jenke Dale with the law firm of DLA Piper. I represent the applicant, North Park Ventures, LLC. With me today are representatives from the applicant, the architect, and the traffic consultant. As a preliminary matter, this matter was considered and recommended for approval at the January 23rd, 2020 Plan Commission hearing. We would request that a transcript from the hearing be incorporated into the record.
So Alderman Beal moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it, and the records are incorporated. Continue.
Thank you. The property is located at the northwest corner of Lake and Halsted and currently zoned C11 and C25. Sorry. The applicant is proposing to rezone to a DX7, then to a business plan development to construct a hotel that is approximately 265 feet tall with ground floor commercial uses. The applicant will be seeking a 4.5 FAR bonus, equating to an approximately $2 million payment into the Neighborhood Opportunity Bonus Fund. We've worked very closely with the various community groups, including on various traffic and circulation concerns, and that's resulted in many improvements to the plan, including installing left-hand turn signals at the intersection of Lake and Halsted as a direct response to community input. We've also worked very closely with the Alderman's office on this project. With that, we're available for any questions and appreciate your time and request your favorable recommendation to the City Council. Thank you.
All right. Alderman, would you like to comment on this project?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Katie, I forgot how many jobs was going to be created from this, construction jobs and in-house jobs.
So we anticipate approximately 900 construction jobs and 300 permanent jobs.
So about 1,200 jobs are going to be generated from this project. They're working very closely with the community. We did have a community meeting And from that community meeting, we had some postponement until they were able to adjust some things for two of the community organizations. They met with the West Loopgate, West Central, and also now 3 community organizations. They also were encouraged to meet with the adjacent neighbors on Green Street to work out any challenges that they had, and they worked those things out. I appreciate it. They also had to have a special meeting with transportation because their egress was coming out of an alley that's coming out on Halsted Street, and they worked that out. At these community meetings, Mr. Chairman, folks were concerned about traffic and density in the community. I encouraged the Department of Transportation to do a study to see if we could possibly get the Lake Street L-stop back open at Lake and Halsted. GIA, the Department of Transportation, is doing a study right now with CTA to see if it's viable. We have a lot of density coming to this community. As you can see, this one development is paying $2 million to the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund. There's a large vacant lot across the street from this that will also generate some density, whether it's business, offices, and or residential. And that would also be generating more than this building would to the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund and taxes to the city of Chicago. We appreciate the developer doing everything that they've done to work with myself and the community and also the Department of Transportation and Planning. I ask for the committee support on this development.
Thank you, Alderman. Questions for the Alderman or the applicant? Hearing none. Can I get a motion to move due pass on this item? Alderman Dowell moves due pass on this item as revised. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and this item is passed as revised.
Also, I just wanted to mention, for the record, Mr. Chairman, that the contractor would be joint venturing with an African-American contractor, and we appreciate that.
Thank you. Congratulations, Alderman. All right, middle of page 13, correct? Item number 20169, again in the 27th Ward. The ordinance was referred on September 18th of 2019, and the common address 400 North Aberdeen. Change request M21 and M23 light industry districts to a DX5 downtown mixed-use district, and then to a business plan development.
Thank you. Again, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Katie Jenke-Dale from the law firm of DLA Piper. We represent Trammell Crow Chicago Development, Inc., the applicant for this matter. I'm joined today by representatives from the applicant, architect, and traffic consultant teams. Again, as a preliminary matter, this item was considered and recommended for approval at the January 23rd, 2020 Plan Commission hearing. We would request that the committee incorporate that record into the record.
So, Alderman Scott Wagsback moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Records are incorporated. Continue.
Thank you. The property is on the north side of Kinsey between Aberdeen and May and currently zoned M21 and M23 light industry district. The applicant proposes a DX5 and then a business plan development in order to construct a 16-story commercial building with 150 accessory parking spaces. They will be utilizing the Neighborhood Opportunity Bonus to achieve an additional 2.85 FAR, equating to an approximately $3.6 million payment into the bonus fund. It is also subject to the industrial corridor conversion fee and will be making a payment of approximately $670,000 into that fund. In addition, based on feedback from the community on this and other projects, they will be participating in the area-wide Metra upgrade, signal crossing upgrade project, making a $250,000 contribution towards those crossing upgrades. And then as a result of community feedback from neighbors, in particular to the north, we will be putting $300,000 towards a new traffic signal at the intersection of Grand and May. Again, we've worked very closely with the various community groups on this project, as well as the Alderman's office. We are available for any questions, but respectfully request your favorable recommendation of this matter. Thank you.
Alderman Burnett.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In this instance, this developer have met with 4 community organizations, and usually 3. Some residents from the north were concerned about traffic and parking and all of those things. And so we had them to go meet with the residents to work out any challenges that they have. They got the majority of the residents to support them, even though this is across the tracks away from the residential. But they worked it out. They offered them, they committed to putting money for the stoplight over there, and we appreciate that. $3.1 million is going to the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund. Katie, can you tell me how many jobs are going to be generated here? Please.
Yes, Johnny Carlson with Trammell Crow. Thank you for your time. Construction jobs are going to be approximately 1,000 during an 18 to 21-month construction duration. Once the project is open, it'll house over 2,000 jobs once it's open and running as an office building.
So we're talking about 3,000 jobs for the city of Chicago, $3.1 million to the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund. Working with the community, they worked on the perimeter of the property to put up some artwork, whiten the sidewalk, make it aesthetically pleasing and open to the public as far as open space goes. We really appreciate it. This developer has just built a building down the street on Ogden and Carroll, and they actually already have a large tech company moving into that building. We anticipate that this is going to be a tech building also, and we're just helping to bring jobs to the city of Chicago. With that, we ask for the committee support on this project.
Other questions, comments? No wonder we increased the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund from 12 to 30. Thank you, Alderman.
Because we getting all this money.
I wanted to
move
move north, and everything is south, southwest,
But
okay?
there's a lot of community meetings, Mr. Chairman.
I know, you're out every night, I know
And
that.
I get beat up at every one of them. It's not easy.
And to reaffirm, this is complete office, no residential component.
Correct.
All right, Alderman Dowell.
I just want to know who the architect is. This is a nice-looking building.
And Matt Blewett, and they work on a lot of our projects around the city, so.
The name, could you speak up?
ESG Architects, Elnis Swenson Graham.
Do you have a card on you?
I'm sure he has a few for anyone else.
And Mike,
Thank you very much.
after the meeting, whatever, but.
And Mr. Chairman, I would be remiss if I did not say their contractor is also working with the community. They're going to have a joint contract with an African-American contractor, and they're going to be hiring people from the neighborhood, and they have a good track record for doing that.
Alderman Dowell.
Yes, and I wanted to ask the Alderman, what's the affordable housing
It's
This
all-
is the office building.
Office.
It's all office building, okay. Thank you.
Handsome building, there's no question about it. All right, hearing no more comments or questions, got a motion to pass this item as revised. Alderman Dowell moves passage of this item as revised. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Didn't share the ayes, have it, and this item is passed as revised. Thank you very much. All right. Staying in the 27th Ward, item number 20071 in the 27th Ward ordinance was referred on July 24th of 19, and the common address is 1230 West Augusta Boulevard. Change request M33 Heavy Industry District to a B22 Neighborhood Mixed Use District. All right. Good morning, Fred.
Morning. Good afternoon, actually. Good afternoon. Fred Augustin, I'm the attorney on this matter. I'm here today on behalf of the applicant, Chris Litwin. Here with me this afternoon is the applicant's wife, Haruka Litwin. The applicant owns the property at 1230 West Augusta. It's currently improved with a 2.5-story single-family residence. Mr. Chairman, this property was located in the North Branch Industrial Corridor. As a result, we did present this project before the Chicago Plan Commission on January 23rd. Plan Commission approved the project, and I'd like to incorporate the Plan Commission's findings and decisions in today's record.
So, Alderman Wagasback moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it. Records are incorporated. Continue.
Okay. And we are here seeking rezoning from the current M33 heavy industry district to a B22 neighborhood mixed-use district. The existing home will remain. The reason for the zoning change is to allow the renovation and proposed additions to the existing home. We have worked with Alderman Burnett and his office on this matter. We have also presented the project before the neighbors of River West. All were in support. We're here to answer any questions the committee may have.
Alderman Burnett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the councilor said, he has met with me at a community meeting with the neighbors of River West. This is a resident that's just trying to, renovate their property and stay in the community. They just happen to be in the area that's zoned industrial and is grandfathered in, and in order to do anything, they have to do this. We appreciate them staying in the community and not moving, and we all want them to have a bigger place for the bigger family that they're going to have. So we're in support of this project, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Alderman. We have questions for the Alderman or the applicant. Hearing none, can I get a motion? Alderman Wagasback moves this item moves this item as revised. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Item is passed as revised.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying in the neighborhood. It's a great neighborhood, actually. All right. Every neighborhood is great, right? Maria? Every neighborhood is great. All righty. Next on page 14. We're still in the 27th Ward, and this item is 20058. The ordinance was referred on June 12th of 19, and the common address is 1400 through 1410 West Randolph. Change request C13, Neighborhood Commercial District to a DX7 Downtown Mixed Use District, and then to a Residential Business Plan Development. Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you for being patient. Counselor?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Once more for the record, my name is Sarah Barnes, and I'm an attorney with the law offices of Sam Banks, located at 221 North LaSalle Street. Before we begin, I believe, do we have some slides that give the committee an idea of this building? It truly is quite exciting. And towards that end, I'm happy to be here this afternoon on behalf of the applicant, MP Randolph, LLC. Here with me on behalf of the applicant is Gabrielle Gambino Leon, seated to my right, as well as Chris Hume on the far right. And then we have our project architect, Jeremiah Damas from Brennan, Stool and Lynch. Before I begin and continue, Mr. Chairman, and as an initial matter, we appeared in support of this project in front of the Chicago Plan Commission at their public hearing on January 23rd, 2020. Pursuant to this matter was considered and recommended for approval by the Chicago Plan Commission on that day. As such, I do request that a copy of the transcript as well as all corresponding exhibits be adopted into the record here today.
Alderman Lopez moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission. All those in favor? Aye. I'm sorry, Patrick.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify. There should be a substitute that goes to DX5, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to get there.
We'll do that next.
Okay, can we get a copy of it too?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Oh,
So
I emailed it.
procedurally,
I'm
we're gonna
sorry. I
first do
emailed
the
it.
Plan Commission, and then we're going to have another substitute of sorts. Okay, great. Okay, so Alderman Lopez are we going to do this together? Yeah, Alderman Lopez moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. The records are incorporated. Continue.
Thank you. And similarly, and towards that same end, prior to the Plan Commission hearing as well as this hearing today, we did prepare and submit a substitute ordinance with regard to this matter. The original ordinance called for a change in the underlying zoning from a C13 to a DX7 and then to the residential business plan development. Through some very quality and meaningful work with the relevant community groups, as well as the Department of Planning and Development, we decided that the DX7 was not necessary and was not as conforming with the adjacent neighborhood, and as such, we reduced that underlying zoning to a DX5. So the substitute ordinance reflects the change in the underlying zoning from a C13 to a DX5 and then to the proposed residential business plan development. So I do ask that the substitute ordinance also be adopted into the record here today.
So, are we okay with that?
A hard copy? Yes. Yeah, I was emailed, so I will deliver a paper copy to the Department of Planning and Development following this hearing. You got it. Thank you.
Okay. So, Alderman Lopez moves to accept the substitute ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the ayes have it. Substitute is accepted.
Thank you so much.
We are going from a C13 to a DX5.
Underlying, yep, and then
Okay.
to the plan development.
Okay, continue.
Thank you, and that should take care of the housekeeping matters. However, as a matter of background, since this is such an interesting project, it's going to be the first high-rise that is at the far west end of the West Loop neighborhood. Towards that end, oh,
I'm sorry.
are we okay?
Yeah, we're on.
Oh, okay. Towards that end, with regard to the developer Marquette Companies, this company was founded by its principal, Darren Slaninger, who actually got his start in affordable housing. And then he went on to find a mission down in Nicaragua with his wife, where they build schools and community centers throughout the country. And towards that end, that is actually why Darren could not be here today, because he is down in Nicaragua. Marquette Companies acquired this property along with a couple of other adjacent properties over the past several years because they found that there was residential and retail life kind of lacking from the west end of the West Loop, where the entire east end of the West Loop was really invigorating and robust. So towards that end, a few years ago, Marquette Companies redeveloped the site at 180 North Ada, which is just behind the subject site, with a residential building. And then just a couple months ago, we were before this board on a companion development or a sister development, which is across the street from the subject property on the northwest corner of Randolph and Ada, where they are proposing a mid-rise residential building right across from Union Park. This is kind of the finale of that. As you'll see from the records, the proposal calls for the construction of a new 25-story tower at the northeast corner of Randolph and Ogden. This will be a mixed-use development so that there will be 3 large retail spaces at grade level. The intent with those retail spaces is to replace some of the existing restaurants that will be removed in order to allow for this development, and also to bring some new retail vitality and restaurants into, again, that kind of sleepy part of the ward or neighborhood. Towards that same end, there will be 3 floors of parking for a total of 108 on-site parking spaces, and the overall development will contain a total of 281 dwelling units that will be located on and between the 4th and 25th floor. There will be a residential amenity floor on the 18th floor that will include a pool, fitness center, deck, terrace, etc. There will also be multiple levels of outdoor space for the residents of the building. Towards this end, we are excited to report that this proposal did receive an FAR bonus. As a result, the applicant will be contributing over $1.2 million into the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund. As well, the applicant has agreed to start a scholarship fund with the local community to get students into some of the colleges that serve the 27th Ward. And lastly, and towards additional community benefits, the applicant is also working with the Union Park Advisory Council towards certain improvements to the public park that is across the street. As well, and with regard to affordable housing, this, as indicated, the total number of units for this proposal is 281. As a result, the applicant is providing 56 new affordable units with some work with Alderman Burnett as well as the Department of Housing. The applicant will be providing 28 of those units, which is 10% of the 20%, about half, on site in the new building. And then there will be the other half of that, 28 units, being located off-site within the Illinois Medical District. The importance of that is because a lot of people ask why don't you put everything on site? I think this is a unique situation in that the applicant has the opportunity to kind of spread the love, so to speak. I commend Alderman Burnett for pioneering the affordable ordinance and then for championing it throughout the West Loop. West Loop probably has hundreds, if not thousands, of affordable housing units now, and that is as a result of Alderman Burnett's incredible efforts to champion that, as well as all of the new and exciting development that is going on in the West Loop. Unfortunately, some of the adjacent neighborhoods have not yet gotten the benefits of all of the new construction, and as a result, there are some depletions in affordable housing in the adjacent neighborhoods, even though they are neighborhoods where people desire to be and or stay and are being outpriced. So this provides an opportunity to get affordable housing into other parts of this neighborhood that really, really need it. And towards that same end, the affordable units that will be located off-site are intended to serve the students and medical residents of the IMD, as well as families who may have loved ones that are in long-term treatment within the hospitals that make up part of the IMD. So I think this is a truly exceptional, affordable project. Lastly, with regard to jobs, which I know is another important benefit with all of these new developments, the applicant anticipates producing over 375 construction jobs, as well as between 30 and 60 full-time jobs in the new building between the retail and the residential services. Lastly, with regard to community review, we started this project back in May of 2019. We have met with the West Loop Community Organization, as well as the West Central Association and the Neighbors of West Loop. We've actually met with those different groups over 7 times throughout this process. As a result of that ongoing review, I think we ended up with a much better project. So we thank them for their time as well. And then we also held a public meeting where the alderman was in attendance. We do have the support of all of those varying community groups. And with that, we hopefully have the support of Alderman Burnett as well as this committee. And we would be very happy to answer any questions that you may have.
A very lengthy presentation, I might add. So why don't we?
I'm excited.
Why don't we? I know you're excited, as we are. However, let's hear from the most excitable person in the room, Alderman Walter Burnett.
Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So as the councilor said, she did meet with all of the community organizations. One she didn't add, she met with the Union Park Advisory Council also, which had input, which is west of there. And and they negotiated to, they actually, this developer has actually adopted the park. So he's not just doing a one-off with the park, he's doing several other things with the park and with the scholarship program. So we appreciate that. After we had our initial community meeting, in between time, we had got the new commissioner. And then the new commissioner came in and actually had them to redesign their development and change the massing of it, and which was some of the concerns from the community meeting, and which turned out to be a better project, very nice project. And they also negotiated with myself and also with Commissioner Navarro in the Department of Housing for the 10 on and the 10 off. We're going to be putting housing on the west side. Coincidentally, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, out west, we get a lot of folks from the medical district who go to school over there from UIC and also Rush Hospital that live throughout the west side, actually, and they need affordable housing also, along with other residents. So this is a win-win for the city, $1.1 million toward the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund, over 300 jobs to the community, and this contractor that they're using is also partnering with an African-American contractor as a joint venture. So we see this as a win-win. The community support it, we support it, and we ask for this body's support also.
Thank you, Alderman. Questions for applicant and/or the alderman? Hearing none. Need a motion to move this item as amended and revised. Alderman Kappelman moves this item for due pass as amended and revised. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion Chair, the ayes have it, and good luck and very innovative, and congratulations, Alderman.
Thank you so much.
All right. Next, bottom of page 14. Document number 20170, 32nd Ward, ordinance referred on September 18th of 19. Common address is 2501 North Damon Avenue, 1880 West Fullerton Avenue, and 2417 North Elston Avenue, and the change request is interesting. It's a C13 Neighborhood Commercial District and C33 Commercial Manufacturing and Employment District to a C33 Commercial Manufacturing and Employment District, then to a waterway planned development. Paul? We had a plan.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Paul Shadle from the law firm of DLA Piper, located at 444 West Lake Street, and I, along with my colleague Liz Butler, represent Drive Shack, the applicant for a planned development for the property located at 2501 North Damon. As a preliminary matter, I just note that the zoning request was considered and recommended for approval by the Chicago Plan Commission on January 23rd, and we'd request that the transcript of those proceedings and the resolution from the commission be incorporated into the record.
So Alderman Lopez moves to incorporate the records from the Plan Commission. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The ayes have it, and the records are incorporated. Continue.
Thank you. I'm joined by representatives of the project team and the operator Drive Shack this morning, and the architects and other consultants. So they will be available for questions. As you noted, the current zoning of the site is C33 and C31 split. The proposal is to zone it to a unified C33 and then to a business waterway plan development because it is along the river. In order to redevelop it, and it is the former site of Vienna Beef, and it will be redeveloped with a 3-story, best-in-class recreational entertainment venue that's focused on a high-technology driving range and simulator. It would include approximately 102 climate-controlled hitting bays, each with food and beverage services, restaurant and spectator space, and also flexible meeting and event spaces. Drive Shack is an owner and operator of golf-related leisure and entertainment businesses throughout the country, and they're based in New York. The proposed development would contain all-weather hitting bays on 3 levels, and as shown on the site plan, the building on the west side of the site would have cutting-edge technology with interactive and entertainment experiences. As a waterway plan development, the project will comply with the Chicago River Design Guidelines and the North Branch Framework Plan. The development will include a 30-foot setback from the river and a publicly accessible river walk. The river edge is proposed to be activated with a multimodal path, seating and gathering spaces, a plaza, native plantings, lighting, and bike racks. Accessible ramps will be provided at both ends of the walk. The applicant presented the proposed development at community meetings with the Bucktown Community Organization, and then a larger community meeting convened by Alderman Wagaspack. Also met with the Audubon Society and the Urban Wildlife Institute to ensure that the building or the facility will be safe for wildlife. In conclusion, the Alderman has worked closely with Alderman Wagaspack and the community and the Department of Planning and Development on this project. It's our understanding that Alderman Wagaspack is in support of the project and has provided a letter of support to the committee, and our team is available to answer any questions that the committee may have.
Yes. Thank you. Alderman Wagaspack is here, I know, on this exciting project. So, can we hear from you?
Yep. Chairman, I think you have a letter of support that we had sent along, but this was a somewhat complicated but an interesting project for the community. Most of that area in the surrounding there is commercial and industrial use still, so this is pretty far away from any residents, although we did meet with all of the residents in the area, had a couple of community meetings, and if you look at the building itself, the building is low level, 3 stories. It is just east of the Damon Bridge, so the Damon Bridge over the river actually runs over it doesn't run over the top of it, it's actually higher than the buildings. This is an interesting use for the area, but at our community meetings, we didn't have any neighbors who were opposed to it. They wanted to make sure, though, that issues like lighting and noise control were taken into consideration, which the applicants did very well. You heard that they met with Audubon Society. They actually met with them before we even talked to them, so I was happy to hear that they're taking into consideration issues with the impact on the netting and along the river. They came back and worked on additional aspects of the Riverwalk there and improved that. I think we talked about reducing some of the parking and trying to make more publicly accessible green space. So I was happy with the way they approached this. And we had a related ordinance and transportation committee on Tuesday to the Vienna property, and the comment that came up there was Vienna did move from this facility. They moved to the 11th ward for the manufacturing process, and I think the 27th ward, if I'm not mistaken, in Alderman Burnett's area for their offices at 2501 West Fulton. So I'm in support of this project, the community is, and we hope it's successful in bringing jobs and activity to this intersection. Thank you.
All right, questions for the Alderman or the applicant? Yes, Alderman Brendan Riley.
Thank you, Chairman. I just had 2 questions, and obviously I have total faith in Alderman Wagaspack for vetting this properly. I was curious, though, in testimony it was mentioned that there are protections being put in place for wildlife. Briefly, could you explain what that means? Because I didn't realize there was an issue here.
Louis
Can I answer it?
Louis Altamiranda, Real Estate Development for Drive Shack. So the netting that is actually used for this, the netting that's actually used for this facility is polyester. The netting is actually so tightly woven; it's about the size of a penny. So birds, if they were to actually hit the netting, would actually bounce off. They're not going to get entangled. That being said, we've actually taken meetings with the Audubon Society, the Urban Wildlife Institute, and plan to have a standard operating procedure with a plan of action with the Chicago Bird Collision Monitors.
Okay, thank you. And then the second question, just because I know it's a going concern here, is related to traffic circulation. It appears to me, looking at your site plan, that you've internalized a whole lot of that. But if you could speak to that briefly, I know that that's been a constant headache in this particular neighborhood for a very long time.
So Peter Lemon with Kimley Horn. we prepared the traffic study related to the project. So the project was, like most, reviewed and approved by CDOT. The site actually eliminates a driveway that currently exists on Elston. The city a couple years back realigned Elston through this area. It actually it was done to address kind of pre-existing traffic issue. It created some excess capacity at these intersections, and so while they are still busy, the traffic is able to be handled during the peak hours. The site also, we should note, tends to focus its peak more on the evening, so kind of post-evening rush. Doesn't generate a lot of weekday peak hour traffic. Also, we looked at Saturday evenings and afternoons, and when the site is actually busiest, and the background volumes are actually lower there. So while we have heavier site traffic, we actually have lower background ambient traffic volumes. And then the site uses the existing driveway that's there today that was contemplated as part of the Elston realignment. So that driveway aligns with the development that will be kind of between Fullerton and Elston.
Very good, thank you. Well, that answers my questions, Chairman. Congratulations, Alderman.
Thank you. Well, Alderman Wagasback.
The issues with a big site like this was the access, as Peter mentioned, and we are closing off a couple of the access points, which in the original plans were, CDOT kind of said, hey, let's leave them open. The original plans going back to other retail and commercial uses, but by reducing the number of access points, we're reducing especially at the corner of Damon, Elston, Fullerton, taking those out will reduce a lot of the car traffic that comes into the intersection a mere 15 feet away from the intersection. So we're hoping that helps.
Thank you, Alderman. Other questions? If not, can I get a motion to move due pass by Alderman Brendan Riley? It moves due pass as revised. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion of chair, the ayes have it, and it will be passed as revised.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we have one item on, first of all, we have Alderman, we're going back to the regular agenda for an aldermanic, and that's probably page 2, I think, right? All right, so top of page 2, and this item is A8514, First Ward, ordinance referred on December 18th of 19, common address 1317 through 1333 Northwestern Avenue, and the change request, B33 Community Shopping District to a C12 Neighborhood Commercial District.
Yes, so very briefly.
Alderman Laspada.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Chairman. So very briefly, this is essentially resetting what was a lapsed Type 1 zoning. It was made clear to us by the previous developer it was a project that was not moving forward. They were not going to get the construction financing. They were walking away. So this is essentially restoring the zoning map as is. There's a lot of C1, I think we're doing C1-3 zoning in this space. -2, thank you so much, which matches the interests of our neighbors in Humboldt Park, and with the Wicker Park community, they definitely want to see street level commercial there, but they also wanted to be thoughtful about the amount of density, the height that we're approving. So C1-2 for this space felt like the appropriate move. And so we really hope for the committee's
Thank you,
support
Alderman.
today.
Right. Back to neighborhood planning. Okay, great. All right, questions for the Alderman? Hearing none, can I get a motion to move this item moved by Alderman Brendan Riley? Moves to pass. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it. Item is passed. Thanks for your patience, Alderman. We have a couple more items, and then we've got to revisit something. So we're now in the 40th Ward. What page are we on? All right, page 15. What you got for us? All right, this is in document number 20147, 40th Ward, ordinance referred on September 18th of 19, common address 5136 through 38 North Claremont. Change request is from an RS3 residential single unit detached house district to an RM 4.5 multi-unit. Yeah, for the benefit of the committee members, this was a public testimony by one of the neighbors, I believe, in the area. felt generally that it was inconsistent with the surrounding zoning of RS3. So with that, let's start to hear some testimony.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is John Pekarsky. I'm an attorney with offices at 25 East Washington. And I have with me Mr. Matthew Cullopy, who is the owner of the property in question. This is the northwest corner of Claremont and Winona. It measures 56 frontage feet on Claremont by 125 feet on Winona. It is currently improved with a 4-dwelling unit building on the north side of the lot and a vacant lot at the exact corner of Winona and Claremont. We would like to essentially legalize the existing 4-dwelling unit building and be able to build a single-family dwelling on the vacant corner lot. We have vetted this many times and met with the alderman and his staff many times and entered into a restrictive covenant which would be recorded against the title of the property, thus requiring us to only build a single-family dwelling on the corner and to legalize the existing 4-flat. We are essentially peeling off the vacant lot from the 4-flat lot.
All right, as you've heard, we have a witness here that was opposed to this. Is he aware of this?
Yes.
Okay. We do have a letter of, or at least we have an email of sorts, that we do have a letter of support from the Alderman Vasquez after this restrictive covenant is in there. As obviously you know, restrictive covenants are private events that can be enforced by the alderman and or the community group.
Correct.
For the record. All right. Questions from committee members? Hearing none, Alderman Lopez moves to pass on this item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Opinion chair, the ayes have it, and the item is passed.
Thank you very much.
All right. And I know our gentleman is still there. You might want to, if you haven't already had a conversation with him. Great. Okay. Now we are going to the addendum to the deferred agenda. It was February 13th of 2020. I'm going to bring up this item number 20302 T1 in the 35th Ward. Ordinance was referred on December 18th of 19, and the common address is 3863 through 3909 North Drake Avenue, and the change request is an RS3 residential single-unit detached house district and a C11 neighborhood commercial district to a B22 neighborhood mixed-use district. Proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. One last time, my name is Daniel Box, and I'm an attorney with the law offices of Sam Banks, located at 221 North LaSalle. I'm here today on behalf of the applicant, 3863 North Drake LLC. Unfortunately, Mr. Bill Conforti, who's the manager of that LLC, was unable to attend today. The applicant owns the subject property located at 3863 through 3909 North Drake. The property is currently improved with 3 multi-unit buildings. The applicant is proposing to raise the existing structures and to develop the subject property with 2 new 3-story townhome buildings containing a total of 10 townhome units. Both buildings will measure 33 feet, 1.25 inches in height, and each unit will be supported by 2 off-street parking garage spaces. The subject property is currently split zoned, so in order to permit the project, the applicant is seeking a zoning change from an RS3 residential single unit detached house district and C11 neighborhood commercial district to a B22 neighborhood mixed use district. We have worked with the local community and aldermen on this project. I know I just handed over a letter of support for the project. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right, so that's Alderman Ramirez Rosa, correct? And we do have we do have indication of his support. Questions from committee members? Hearing none, Alderman Walter Burnett moves to pass on this item. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Can you share the ayes have it? Item is passed.
Thank you.
Just question, affordability in here or what?
I believe so.
You just get back to our office.
Yeah,
sir.
let me go ahead and do that.
All right. Hold on a second. Hold on. So, our first item that we passed out of committee was a series of recommendations to the building code that was asked by Alderman Lopez if these were technical in nature, typos, et cetera, et cetera. And upon a further investigation, there's probably more substantive than typos. So what we want to do, I know that the commissioner has been working with answering all the questions and such. What I want to do, though, is that we would hold this. We passed it out of committee, but I want to hold it, and I want to hold it until there's satisfaction from the members of the committee. So hopefully we can get this done in short order. But I'm going to hold this until I hear from the alderman about some of the questions. I know that was there 18 or 19, Alderman Lopez?
Thank you, Chairman. There were 19 non-technical, non-typo related amendments in this substitute technical corrections ordinance, ranging from issues regarding whether or not single access for basement apartments was new or not, all the way to multiple requests from the fire department. A couple examples we heard earlier, stairwells and such, and I think that they are more than just typos. They deserve a deeper dive, and I appreciate your efforts to ensure that we are all on the same page so that nothing feels like it's being snuck into at the last minute.
Alderman, you were very clear in your testimony at the beginning of the meeting, so I know that you will be satisfied, hopefully, so we can move this forward to the City Council. Alderman Beal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to also piggyback on my colleague who was very clear about these corrections, technical corrections. It has always been my knowledge that any typo or correction would go to the Rules Committee as clarification. And the fact that these corrections will come to this committee leads me to believe that they knew that these were some amendments to some ordinances to, kind of circumvent the process. And when you look at it, I mean, the one that really stood out is the ingress and egress on a ground floor apartment. That's a public safety issue. I mean, who would not want an ingress and egress on a garden unit apartment for the sake of public safety in the event that there was an emergency or a fire or something like that? And we're going to take that away? So, I commend my colleague, and I think we need to really hold this and look at it and scrub it, because I think that there was, I think this was deliberate, and I don't think it was an accidental.
Thank you, Alderman Beal. So with that, with those instructions to me as the chairman, we will make sure there's satisfaction and explanation of these things before we present it to the full City Council. With that, I think Alderman Burnett has a motion to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.